Episode 2. Okay, we are jumping right back into it. This should be the finale of episode 2. We're going back into court. We have 1 day left before the media blackout is going to break down and everything's going to go to shit. Our client could get shot in the street. Who knows? Because the cops think he killed a cop, and, well, you know what they do when that happens. Oh boy. We also have to prove that he didn't kill 4 other people that I killed, in addition to the cop who we don't know who killed them. And, well, let's just say, my peanuts. Bye-bye, CS! Go watch the VODs. You got time. All right, Morgan. Tell me, Morgan. Tell me.
So where should we begin?
What do you mean? I'm afraid I don't have anything new to tell you.
Stubborn about all the most frustrating things, was it? So, you know, if you somehow jumped into just the finale video, we have Morgan here on the left. She's us, defense attorney, serial killer. And then Sarah is the green-haired girl. I'm your lawyer, Sosuke. Sarah is an android, but not a normal one. She's something new that we don't have a word for yet. We're sworn to always do what's best for our clients, their rights, and their privacy. And this is Sosuke. He's our client. He is a assassin who works for the mob, and he does kill a lot of people, but he didn't kill these people. To an extent that many consider extreme, we are unable to disclose incriminating or otherwise problematic information that our clients give to us, no matter the circumstances. This whole system is designed to benefit the defendant. So it really upsets me when I find out that my clients are lying to me about vital information that could help me save their lives.
If you're troubled by the nature of my work as the Hound...
You're adopted.
Yes, from the Hayakawa.
That's bullshit. You know it, I know it. And people whose opinions you respect know it. Yeah, we just found out this last episode that he is secretly the kid of a rival crime family who has kept all of their wealth and ill-gotten gains locked away in foreign accounts that are registered to DNA, which means that this guy can access all of those accounts. But that family, whose kids were all killed off by, you know, the rival mob thing that, like, adopted him, they don't got access because all their babies is died, except for him. And it seems they might have figured this out. Fine. All members of the military have extensive DNA samples on record. If I subpoena...
All right, stop! Just stop.
Does the military keep all its members' DNA on record?
I don't know. Probably, right?
Yes, I know what you're referring to. Even before I knew, I did wonder.
If you've known about your real family for more than a decade, why haven't you ever...
Because it doesn't matter.
Try telling that to the Blue Bloods. They've been risking a gang war for over a year trying to get to you.
That's their choice. It has nothing to do with me.
How can you... I'm appalled, Sosuke. How could a brave soldier serving the House of Ikaria allow violence to continue when he knows he could stop it?
A worthy attempt, Counselor.
Sorry. Guess I'm not used to having to persuade people to act in their own best interest. Or that of their family.
Family? The Ikaria raised me, fed me, taught me how to read, write, walk. They gave me a home, a purpose.
They're using you.
They need me.
They've got a funny way of showing it.
I owe everything to them, and nothing to the dead.
They're only dead because the man you call a father murdered them.
He did that a long time ago, to people I've never met. They'll have to forgive me if I'm short on empathy for complete strangers.
Aunts, uncles, cousins, parents, siblings? You can't call them complete strangers, Sosuke.
Can't I? The Ikaria are my family. Nothing will change that. Nothing ever could.
Let's test that.
Pardon?
The state thinks you murdered a cop. They'll make sure no one ever thinks of following your example. Let me repeat that. The full brunt of the police state is about to fall directly on the back of your neck. And that ain't gonna be nice. That's a broken neck type situation. You ain't walking away from that, buddy. Hammer. Nail.
I'm not afraid of prison.
You ever been in one?
What? No,
They shave you.
What?
When you're convicted, they shave you for hygiene. It's not for hygiene.
Are you talking about that virtual work release thing? Do they fit you for skull caps?
Not right away. They don't do that to people. Put a man in chains, strip him naked, sew his mouth shut. He'll still recognize himself in the mirror. He's still a person. But shave his head, give him a uniform, make him sit in the dark with 500 others who've been treated the same. He starts to forget. Forget that he's a person.
That's scary.
Yeah, dude. After you're so bored you're seeing constellations in concrete, and after you're scratching your skin raw just to feel something new, that's when they ask if you'd like a job. After people stop being people.
How could you even know any of that?
Virtual work release. Hey there! Due to ongoing controversy following the suspected suicide of inmate Jay Galley, search results for this term are temporarily blocked. Wow! Yippee! The dystopia gets more dystopian every time I play this game, dude. And that's not even that far off from what they actually do to people in the prison system, man. That shit's just legalized slavery. It's already fucked up in our time. Hey, political commentary. What? No, that's people. That's people, man. I'm a defense attorney, Sosuke. Who else gets to see the inside of a prison and walk away afterwards? Makoto sent me himself. So you never actually took your one phone call, did you? Take my phone and call Hannah Kim. The Blue Bloods will volunteer as a fall guy to confess to these crimes, and you'll walk free. After which you'll become one of the richest men in the city overnight.
That's not...
If you are at all curious, I have done some calculations to estimate the extent of your familial holdings. The number is quite remarkable, though I suppose I haven't taken taxes into account.
No one's asking you to abandon the Ikaria. You could become their greatest ally. Together, your families would...
I know exactly what would happen if I made that deal. I won't do it.
Why the hell not?
Why not, Sosuke?
You're forgetting a few small details involved in this process. Namely, disowning the people who raised me my entire life, and claiming myself before the world as the son of people I've been fighting since I was a teenager. How shameless do you think I am? Daisuke! That man raised me like his own son, and in return, I can't throw away the name he gave me just for goddamn money.
Treat your men as you would your own beloved sons, and they will follow you into the deepest valley. Is that it? You would rather rot in prison as an Ikaria than
live in luxury as a blue blood? Gladly.
Oh,
This is my answer, Morgan. If you try and use my parentage in the trial tomorrow, I'll dismiss you as my counsel and change my plea to guilty.
if that's your answer, then that's your answer. You're the client. What you say goes.
Right?
So if you somehow last another night without the cops smothering you in your sleep, I'll need some kind of strategy when we go into court tomorrow.
Of course we will. And what are your thoughts on the matter?
I might have found a window of opportunity. A chance that someone other than you had the means, motive, and opportunity to commit these crimes. Have you remembered anything else about your captivity?
Maybe if we go over it again and I extrapolate somewhat, or a lot.
I'll need to be prepared. You're going to be called to the stand tomorrow.
All I need to do is keep silent, right?
You better not. I'll be the one asking the questions.
you're going to call him to testify?
What do you expect me to say up there?
I want you to tell the truth, of course. I want you to tell the court exactly how you were set free.
Oh.
And now... Oh, no, I'm not court yet. Okay. We're still talking to the cops a little. All right, you good taking another night shift? He's infuriating, but I'd rather he didn't get shanked at the moment.
Of course, Adonai.
Sarah's an android, so she weighs like 10 million pounds. She can just kind of stand in front of the door, and the cops can't budge her.
Detective London will be back shortly, and I'll make sure Soski is monitored all night.
London is also on our side. As far as cops go, he's been helpful, but I think he might suspect something. You know, about me being a serial killer. You know, about being a mass murderer. He might know. I don't know. What is it? You gonna ask me to explain his decision? Because I'm done trying at this point.
I don't think his decision is that confusing. He wants to be loyal to the people who have shown loyal to him,
Ah, shit. She's doing that chat GPT thing again, where they start, the speech starts
He wants to be loyal to the people who've shown loyalty to him.
Ow. Thanks, Orunner. That fixed me up good. I should have some water.
Blows up!
Yeah, that thing where ChatGPT blows up. Shown loyalty. Do you need a microscope to see it? You spot any members of the noble house of Icaria around here? Are they hiding under a box somewhere?
The people who've shown loyalty to him historically. His decision doesn't confuse me, but his choice of words. He considers the Icaria his true family, yet he again spoke of a debt to them. That seemed odd to me. What do you think?
I don't know.
Do they really shave everyone in prison, or was that another bluff?
Not everyone, no. Only everyone who can't pay the fees. Dystopia, baby! How are you doing, Orunner? Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to have water thrown at my head. 8:44 p.m., August 15th, 2086. Morgan's apartment. A good puzzle feels satisfying to complete. Oh, hey, it's that one title screen. I love that screen. It's so good. It's so moody. I love the lighting and the way you see like the slats like across your face, even though it's not like the traditional like, you know, like noir stuff. It's so noir anyway. I gotta watch that Spider Noir show. We saw the first episode. It looked good. I like Nick Cage as Spider-Man Noir. He's fun. Like a good story, it maintains its appeal even when viewed in hindsight. A bad puzzle doesn't make sense after you finish it. The picture's there, but it's muddled, vague. You feel like an idiot for bothering to piece it together. Sosuke Ikaria's that kind of puzzle. I fit every edge to every edge just so, but the result wasn't satisfying. An infuriating client to cap off a frustrating case. Having to keep track of what the cops know, what the Blue Bloods know, what the Icaria are hiding, what Emma's thinking. What I've learned, what I know to be true, what I can prove, and what I can actually say. And even after all that, getting kneecapped when my client refuses to play his best cards. I want to clear my head. Or maybe empty it. Watch TV? No. Look out the windows? Bake? Wait, we can bake? Let's bake! I'm not hungry. Oh. Baking is satisfying. Applied chemistry, which is just applied math. But the cleanup isn't fun. And when I don't have a neighbor I'm trying to butter up or a client to visit, everything just sits in my freezer until I end up throwing it out. Sarah seems to shovel it all down without complaint, but she's not here now. Oh, Sarah must be working at her part-time job at that bar. When I was still slaving away in that witch's office, I never wanted for a hungry mouth. Coworkers will eat anything you leave out in a break room. That's true! If I ever get truly desperate to hide evidence, I'll just bake it into a pie. Find an office birthday to crash. They'll be gone without a trace in minutes. Ha 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 ha. Alright, well, what's outside? Not in the mood for people watching. Sometimes, if I let my eyes unfocus, massive foot traffic on the streets below melds into one dark amoeba, curling slightly at its edges as it squirms along the petri dish of the world around me. edges lost beyond the horizon, which can be zen in its own way. I'm guessing that's what people see at ant farms, but I wouldn't know. Who the hell would want more insects crawling around their house? Baking my dented and bloodied car into a pie. You know, I used to stress bake, like, right after I got out of community college, but before I went to like art school, I was stress baking a lot. If I couldn't sleep, I'd be up in the middle of the night and I'd just start making cookies. I would just not know what else to do with myself. I'd just be like, cookie time, cookie time, cookie time. Because I didn't really have any friends that would like be around online at that point, right? That late at night. I didn't have a lot of friends in general at that point. Wow, I wonder why I was so stressed out. Let's watch TV. I don't feel like finding something to stream. Sarah's messed up all my recommendations anyway. I really heard that as stress vape and was wondering how did it get to that? Oh no. I did vape some honestly not that long ago, like 2-3 years back. I've pretty much stopped, but that was like more of like a chill out in the evening kind of thing. And it was usually like you know, like a cannabis type vape. But I found edibles are a little more reliable and quantifiable than that, so I've kind of shifted to them. Plus, vaping can do some stuff to your lungs, even with like vape juice that's like pretty safe. Like it can still get a little weird. My home pages used to be great, tuned to a T. I'd get closed circuit footage of industrial machine accidents and gun disassemblies with no commentary in the title. Oh man. She's got some crazy YouTube wrecks. Wait, I gotta see her account and then throw up because I don't want to see those videos. Now it's all street workout videos and film director tier lists. If the end result is my internet history looks a little more random to an outsider, I guess I can forgive it. But if she ever gets me added to mailing lists for diet supplements, I'm revoking her net access. This is pointless. Might as well close my eyes and wait. Even staring daggers into the backs of my own eyelids would do more good than this. Whatever this is. Oh yeah. When you're so bored, you just take a nap. That's real. Dream sequence? Hey, cool kid. If you go to jail for starting this pyramid scheme of an extracurricular activity, does that help or hurt your chances of becoming a lawyer? You're trying to recruit members because if you don't hit critical mass, this all falls apart. It's exactly like a pyramid scheme. Well, I don't know that I can give you advice since I'm only a member on paper, but if you want to start a club for solving mysteries, maybe you should, solve one first? I don't know. Ask questions, talk to people, I guess. Record what they say. Take notes and think hard. Oh, you never know. You can be pretty persuasive. Or at least entertaining. I mean, I'm still sitting here for some reason, right? Oh, when you wake up from a nap and you're like lost for a second, and there's no easy to acquire food, so you take a nap instead. Oh God, I've had those days where I'm so hungry, but I don't have the ability or physical amount of food needed to eat, right? So you just sleep it off. Ugh, I hate those. It's still dark out though. What time is it? 5 in the morning? It says 9:40 on my phone. I slept for 30 minutes. That's it? What the hell's going on with me today? Am I really about to give up and start scrolling on my phone? Like a baby? Like an 80-year-old man? I should check my temperature. There might be something wrong with me. Don't feel like going to find the thermometer. How about a bet? 300 says the first article that pop-ups is an advertisement. There's always good news every night. Beloved school janitor given dance-off salute by students having to postpone retirement for third time. God, no! Double or nothing. Federal investigators recovered Denning's girl. Well, congrats on no longer being kidnapped. But you just cost me 600, you little shit. 600 I bet with myself? Nation rejoices tonight as the daughter of renowned philanthropist Joseph Dennings has been confirmed home safe and sound thanks to the efforts of federal investigators, spearheaded by a playbook that applies old techniques to tackle new challenges. Dennings originally rose to prominence as the CEO of Constancy Inc., which was, at the time, a marketing firm specialized in virtual advertising. But Dennings' vision for bringing advertising to the front lines with heads-up displayed services cracked open the previously uncharted market of active duty armed forces members, serving them relevant, relatable, automatically generated content that informed them about the products they wanted, waiting for them on their doorstep when they got home. After making Constancy one of the leading advertising agencies in the world, Dennings thought that he'd finally get to spend time with his family when he graciously stepped down as CEO to focus on his philanthropy, while also serving as COO in an advisory role. But tragedy struck earlier this week when his daughter was kidnapped on her way home from school in an attack investigators describe as meticulously planned and flawlessly executed. When the vicious attackers contacted the Dennings family and demanded an exorbitant ransom of an undisclosed amount. Is it absorbent? Exorbitant? An absorbent ransom of, I don't know. I couldn't think of anything absorbent. Sponges? SpongeBob? Whatever. Funny joke. Just imagine your own funny joke. Would have panicked. First 24 hours are essential. They mapped out the psychology of the kidnappers themselves. We wouldn't really describe this as a terrorist act, but the sick, twisted terrorists who committed this atrocity did do us the courtesy of communicating openly and often. From the way they spoke, the words they chose, we started to narrow down their possible backgrounds, and then we revisited the crime scene. Investigators credit their breakthrough to footage of the kidnapping that indicated the terrorists had military-level training and discipline, carrying out the attack in a so-called quartet formation considered a signature of the military elite's hostage retrieval squad. That's interesting. Wouldn't that also kind of match up the formation that was being used against my client functionally, right? Like, that was a quartet. Carried out without so much as a shot fired. Well, they did fire shots. Hi, Ravenghoul. This is the timing of this just seems interesting. You know, possible relationship between Mr. Dennings' past work and the suspect's military backgrounds. Chief Director of Investigations Valentine avoided the mudslinging with a succinct reply of no comment. Special Investigator Ayase, Technical Analyst Solkov, Special Agent Greenfield, and Special Agent Beckham. Together, they are Cop Force. How's that for long odds? What are the chances I see that name? Perfect timing, actually. Maybe chewing out Mirai for keeping me in the dark is just the nightcap I need. That woman was like a black cat. Hang on, that doc doesn't sound like Mirai. Oi! That voice almost sounds like a goat.
Pin up already, you shit.
I better check the door cam. Oh no, I guessed wrong about who it was. Hello, why is she at my apartment? Detective, is that you?
Open up.
Pardon?
I said open up.
Uh-oh. Hang on, are you?
Don't pretend you can't hear me, you little creep cave, you little
Creep. Detective Reyes, are you
drunk?
Yes, no.
It's a crime for you to ask me that. Oh, I can just wave my badge hello to the door cam.
My door just unlocks like that. That cannot be legal.
Oh, it's not legal.
What?
Wait, what model of door is it? Oh yeah, for this model of door in this city zoning is legal for me to unlock your door like that.
Guess Han had a point. I wasn't expecting her to show up drunk at my apartment. Wait, is this Yuri? Needing to make spare keys is a fair trade-off to avoid this bullshit.
And since you just invite me in,
I did not.
Here I am above the book. What's happening right now? Why is the ceiling all the way up there? Who do you kill to get a place this huge? What do you even do with this much space? Hang from the rafters like a bat? Echo! 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 Echo!
I knew she was gonna do that.
Echo! Echo!
She's so drunk. I love being this kind of drunk. I hate the morning afterwards. Detective, this is absurd. Does anyone even know you're here?
What? Let me check. Detective Reyes, badge number 10806, reporting on all channels. Self-assignment, protective surveillance of suspected criminal target. Had assessed his medium and low target capabilities. Not a threat to self or others. Reporting in from... What's your address?
Do not dox me to every cop in the city, Reyes.
Reporting in from address withheld. Any copies? Over.
Copy.
Copy. Cam saw you entering the building.
Copy.
You got you 10806. Have a quiet night.
Are you finished?
Hey, where's the snowball?
Gatorade sports drinks are good hangover cures. That's true. That's true. That is true sometimes. Ooh, we're getting close on that new buddy challenge goal. Ooh, we might hit it. She waves her hands in a rough approximation of something cloud-shaped.
Snowball, porky ball, matcha ball.
Sarah's doing your job.
Like Glee Story, you probably make her sleep on a coffin in the parking garage.
Oh, hey, Blaj. Ready for the summer with those sunshaders, sunglasses, shade, whatever. Going off of David's setup, she might be more comfortable if I did.
Is this booze?
That's water.
Ugh, God.
Can I do something for you this evening, detective? Or did you come here just to critique my interior decorating and knock shit over?
I came here because I'm drunk, and I'm drunk because you're in danger. Another way around. I drank because I was pissed in class and everyone told me to go home. Even though he shot a guy only a few hours ago, I'm the one who gets too emotional and too useless. So I came here to catch a bad guy. Because you are defending that cop killer.
Uh-huh.
There's also an orca killer. Whale cop killer. Killer whale cop. Every goddamn idiot in the city wants to shoot him. And also you, because you're a stinking lawyer.
Thanks.
I'm a cop. Cops are supposed to protect people. Even stinky lawyers.
Thanks.
So I'll park myself right here and catch the next assassin they send after you. Then lock them up and throw away the key. And if I accidentally save your life too, that's okay. Even if you don't deserve it.
You could have just stopped talking.
I can stop talking easy. Do you really not have anything to drink?
I'm not sure I want to drink with you, detective.
Who invited you? You're the host, do whatever. I am gonna do what I gotta do, and where the hell's this a screw top?
If I have to host a drunk Detective Reyes for the rest of the night, as I evidently do, suppose I needn't force myself to go through the ordeal sober. I'll get a bottle opener, detective.
Oh shit!
I said I'll get it! Why is she here? What is she doing? Oh my god.
Oh, wait, this is the best part of it, where he breaks down the horsepower. For years, they all abided by this gentleman's agreement where the engines would have horsepower capped at 270 or so, to avoid, like, arms races of engineering in a country with such a huge street racing scene.
Right?
But the crazy part is it was only ever on paper. They were building and selling cars with 300 plus horsepower, and they all just listed the horsepower as 270 domestically.
Yeah.
And God, everybody knew it. I mean, they were selling the same car with the same engine, with the same goddamn torque rating in two different countries, and they were saying, oh, I don't know, I think it's only 270.
That's crazy.
I was born in the wrong generation. I'll die without even knowing what gasoline smells like.
Gasoline is odorless.
What?
It's odorless. They added a strong smell during refinement so that leaks could be noticeable.
That's natural gas, you dummy.
Horse! Hey, Otter. Oh, wait, you already talked earlier, and I also read your message. How did I not know it was you? What's wrong with my brain?
Hear me for a second, jeez. If you're gonna try and ruin something for me that I never even had a chance of experiencing, you better get it right. There's no difference between gas and gasoline.
So, you know Chopin?
God, we dated it, okay? Happy?
I wouldn't have guessed that. For how long?
Once. It was just not a lot, I know. It was such a shitty date. Or his uniform, like I was supposed to salute. God, was he cheap. I said, what did you tip the bartender? And he got all confused. He just handed me 2 cans, why would I tip? Because you tipped the goddamn bartender, man, that's why. You can always tell when someone grew up with money. Maybe they just can't hide it. Maybe none of them ever learned the decency to try. Ockford's not so bad. I mean, it's obvious still, but the airhead part kind of offsets it.
Yeah, that's... What do you mean? Emma comes from money?
Guess even you can tell a joke. Worst date I've ever been on. Waitress looked like she was gonna stab him. You think he was allergic to salt with all the nitpicking he did? And then he has the balls to tip 10%.
That is bad.
Oh, what do you know? You probably haven't been on a date since the 60s.
How old do you think I am? I was talking about the tip.
What tip? Oh, the tip! Well, yeah, but still, do you even have a dating profile? Or do you just hang around funeral homes and castles and shit looking for the creatures of the night?
I don't have a dating profile. You met Chopin through an app?
Yeah, dating app for cops.
Dating app for cops? That's an insane thing. What the fuck? Please tell me none of those actually exist. There's a dating app for cops?
Yeah, just for cops. Just for all.
What's it called Just for All if it's just for cops?
It's a...
Oh, it's a pun. Well, not really a pun. Wordplay.
But you know, words are justice for all. A cop catchphrase, we say it all the time when we catch people. There's an app for everyone. Probably even lawyers with sun allergies.
I don't think there's an app for me.
Hang on, let me project a hologram in the world's smallest violin out of my eye socket. I suck anyway. This one I matched, she was terrible. Her teeth. She! Oh, lesbians, bisexuality, we're winning. She was trying to smile or some shit. She was all teeth. I think it was her first kiss. And they kissed! You remember your first?
I don't know why everyone's always so concerned with firsts. The Venn diagram of a dating app for cops and one for the alt-right is probably close to a circle. True. Probably just is a circle. I mean,
the hell does that mean?
Don't worry about it.
I have never once given a second thought to anything you say, so get that straight. Wanted to slap the guy's dumb face at the end of that date, but then I didn't even recognize him. When Lon and I came in, he was face down. Whole floor, blood, just blood and paper. Couldn't turn him over, I had to preserve the scene. I just had to leave him there.
Sorry.
Sorry! I'm not sorry! I'm angry.
You seem to get angry a lot.
You've been the anger management? You know what that's about?
Managing anger?
Keeping calm. Not letting your emotions control you. I'm great at all of that.
If you say so.
I do say so. With what I'm feeling most of the time, I'm a goddamn saint without calm. I just stay. I'm just too small. Little hole in the bottom of a big water tower. Fills up faster than it'll ever drain. If I was big, I'd trample this whole city down. Long, long before my anger's gone. Didn't even seem like people from the hall. Just two people-shaped things face down in blood.
Sosuke and Chopin, they were both face down?
What? Yeah.
Because Rogers was cuffing Sosuke on the ground.
Rogers, what a klutz. That guy couldn't cuff a cow.
A cow? A cow?
I don't know, something that cuff easily.
Probably not a cow. A dress shirt.
Oh, what do you want, a round of applause every week? Clap. World's greatest still.
Wordsmith.
Just shut up.
They should kiss about it. Had some water. I love water, especially when I have the voice raised so much. Persuading her to remove her shoes and socks before tossing her up the stairs was the very upper limit of my patience. Making it off the floor and onto the bed is up to her. I don't care. I can sleep on my couch. I could sleep in my chair if I had to. I can fall asleep in any position, actually. It's not actually worth bragging about, especially to myself. So now a homicide detective knows where I live. Guess the address is on the business card downside of a home office. At least it's fun to imagine how sick she'll be tomorrow. Can't remember a time I got that drunk, thankfully. I can. Thankfully, it was back when I was in my early 20s, so you can just tank hangovers that early on sometimes. So, not everyone can, I guess, but man, I was able to just tank that shit. I could get so wasted, and the next day I'd feel great. Not that way anymore. Once I got past 27 or so, ooh, that was gone. Can't remember a time that I got that mad. And the last time I cried, screw this, introspection's a scam. I'm not nearly so flush that I can afford to waste time on it. Oh my god, stop smiling like that. Yes, you found a teacher's missing key card. No, you're not Sherlock Holmes. Or whoever his lawyer was. Oh, I'm sure. You're gonna be the most popular kid in school overnight now. Well, I wasn't being that sarcastic. You better hope it's somewhat true. Good image. Deadline for your little club's sign-up period is next week, isn't it? Actually, you'll need to find 4 members. I'm gonna be out that day, family thing. What a face. You show everyone puppy dog eyes that pathetic? Look, if you're gonna be a lawyer, you'll need to get better at reading fine print. See, you need 5 members to found a club, but if you have at least 2 students present at the qualification time, you can get an extension. I mean, even you can get 1 person to join, right? Just use that winning personality of yours. It's a family thing, I can't say no. Nothing, I didn't say anything. Interesting dreams. 11:31 a.m., August 16th, 2086. State Building. Floor 48. It's court time.
They must have waved me down over 5 times. I've been in private banks with less active security than this.
Were they private banks that recently had a shooting?
No.
And the comparison seems flawed. Armed guards in the halls, drones outside the windows, androids standing firm in the streets, triple spectrum scans at every entrance. They really rolled out the red carpet for you this time.
If they were this concerned, why didn't they just move the trial outside of the city?
The district attorney said as much, but the city council overrode them.
The district attorney? You mean Miss Rockford?
Miss Rockford's boss. Word of the attack yesterday is already trickling out. They can't afford to delay or it'll look like they've been successfully intimidated.
There's such a thing as overcompensating.
Not on the stage of security theater.
Are you able to look over the DNA analysis that Cyanus completed, Adonai?
Their report on the bindings? Yeah. Let's actually look over it now that we get to look over it. Let's see. Sweat matches subject A, DNA matches, skin matches DNA, blood matches DNA, A and E. We might be able to use something with that. if Miller can be set up as the one who freed Sosuke, I don't know. That might flip something on its head in the proceedings. Gave me a lot to think about on the ride over. You're looking much better.
I don't feel better. They gave me some sort of injection last night. I woke up in much more pain, but they still insisted on taking off all my bandages.
Some sort of injection?
Sosuke consented to intravenous injection of a recovery accelerant at 9:33 p.m. last night.
You consented without knowing what it was?
I nodded. Thought it would help me sleep. That interrogation room floor isn't exactly ideal for rest.
Spoiled brat. This is the same guy who was confidently telling me he was fine with going to jail.
What about you, Adonai? Were you able to get any rest?
I slept like a rock. Eventually. Didn't even wake up when a certain unwelcome guest stumbled out the door in the early morning, thank God.
But it was an accelerant, huh? I thought there was something familiar about this discomfort. They gave it to us back in the military on occasion. You heal up faster, but it still takes the same toll overall. Explains why I feel like all my bruises are fresh.
Why'd they wait until now to start giving Sosuke medical attention, though?
Emma must have realized it was getting a bit silly, trying to accuse you of murdering 5 people when you looked like you had been thrown through a windshield.
Don't worry, Sosuke. You're still handsome, even without the rugged edge that your injuries provided.
Hearing that doesn't make me happy, you know.
And why are you blushing?
It's not like you're
Oh, sorry. It's not like you're spotless. You still have a mark under your left eye.
No, I've had that since birth.
Oh.
I was told once that it's charming.
Chad, is it charming? Kind of a charm point, maybe?
Why'd you bring it up? Is it not charming? He's worried. Oh no.
So needy. This boy wants a pat on the head and a juice box. And then he's gonna kill people.
Thank you for clarifying that for the court, Detective.
Well, we're like right into it, huh? That was the same story he told me yesterday down in the lower wards. He and Reyes were the second on scene, so they focused on clearing the lower floors before meeting with Rogers. Good to have it on the record so I can look it over. I would like to look it over. Rogers already apprehended the suspect. Sunshine and I cleared the first floor, Sunshine being Reyes in this case. All the rooms were empty, but one was unlocked. Right. Which I think is where our real killer hid. Well, our other real killer. Other than me, since I killed 4 of these people.
As for the next item on the docket, calling the defendant to testify, seems like it's gonna be a nothing burger.
Not entirely, Your Honor. My client waives his right to decline.
Does he now?
He does. He does do.
Sosuke Ikaria. I'm a head of personnel security at the Ikaria Financial Group.
And the IFG, that's a family-run small business, mom-and-pop operation, I take it?
Family run.
Well, Mr. Ikaria, I feel like the court already has a strong understanding of the circumstances you found yourself in. How you were captured and tortured by these 4 known criminal associates, all of whom are now dead. How you were found standing over the body of Officer Chopin. I suppose all anyone can ask is, what do you have to say for yourself?
I can only tell you what I remember, even if that's mostly pain.
How about after the pain? How did it end?
I woke up to the feeling of my blood drying on my skin.
Familiar sensation for a head of personnel security, I assume?
Oh, Kaido, switch axe. In court? Did they let me? I guess they're gonna let me keep it in the courtroom. All right, well, you know, there was a guy with a gun in here the other day, so some protection is probably handy. Also, hi. Objection.
I can answer. It was a novel experience. I pulled off my blindfold and felt like I'd stepped into the desert. White flaring in my eyes, heart thumping in my temple. But I realized there's a gun in my waistband. The indicator showed it was spent, didn't know what to make of it.
Does this gun look familiar to you, Mr. Ikaria?
Yes, that's the same gun.
Let the record show the witness has admitted to wielding the same Mag US used to kill 2 of the victims. Is this okay?
I stumbled forward towards a door, and past it, the whole room seemed red.
And after that, you don't remember? Anything else you'd like to say to the court, Mr. Karya, before we finish?
Oh, there is one more thing I recall. I remember holding my sword.
Oh no! So he admits it.
You remember holding your sword?
Woof, that ain't good.
That's very interesting of you to say, Mr. Ikaria.
It was on the ground, and it's important to me, so I bent over and picked it up.
Do you recall the next thing you did with that sword, Mr. Ikaria?
No. Next thing I know, I'm being transported and read my rights.
I see. Your Honor, do you feel we need to continue?
The questioning?
The trial.
Ouch! Ready to begin cross-examination at any time, Your Honor. If you insist. Round 1, fight!
Surely we're past round 1 by now.
All right, buddy. Cut bindings, Yoru, Magus. Blindfolded and in pain. Hold on a second, buckaroo. Those bindings were cut. If you untied them, why would they need to be? Sosuke couldn't have untied his way out of his bindings. Not when they were very clearly cut by something sharp.
Objecting to a statement from your own client now?
What do you mean, Morgan?
These pieces of cloth were recovered from the room where you were held, Sosuke, and they very clearly have been cut. You didn't struggle your way out. You cut your way out.
Yes, now that you mention it, that's right. But if I cut myself out first...
Your Honor, the people ask that the defense do the testimony coaching before the trial begins from now on. As it stands, this has been a colossal waste of time. Yeah, I mean, this detail probably isn't that important, right?
It's very important, Your Honor. If he used a blade to cut himself free from his bindings, that means Sosuke couldn't have gotten free until someone handed him a blade. Meaning that the people's theory of a daring escape mid-interrogation is
doing just fine. Thank you for asking. None of us in the court here today seriously believe this man or his memory can be taken as the truth.
Then forget him and just look at the bindings. They're hard physical evidence and they had to have been cut.
By something sharp. What do we know that fits that description? You think it was Yoru? His captors kept him bound in that room most of the night and then cut him from his bindings with a sword to bring him into the main room for questioning, where he turned the tables on them before slaughtering them all.
Badass.
Well, Counselor, are we done here?
Sorry. Could the katana have been used to cut those bindings? Looking at the actual bindings themselves. I should look at the actual bindings themselves. Cut with something sharp. It doesn't say it was like a jagged cut or anything, right? Like... I guess it could have been the sword. I'll admit it's possible that the sword cut those bindings. But anything's possible. And the DNA evidence points to a different answer. Well, didn't get it right. Your Honor, if we could please draw the court's attention to the forensic analysis of the bindings. Oh, the DNA on them. You'll notice
your client's blood, obviously.
Yes, obviously. But upon closer inspection, you'll also see that blood from Miller was found as well. The poncho guy? Who was stabbed in the throat, as the court may recall.
By your client's sword, as is no doubt still fresh in the jury's memory.
Well, how can that be, Your Honor?
What do you mean?
Is it not sharp enough? What a piece of... How can Miller's blood have ended up on the bindings that kept my client from leaving the room in which he was held? Unless Miller was killed before my client was ever cut free?
That's...
kind of a big deal.
Isn't it?
I thought so, at least.
Oh, the stock market is going to suffer the consequences.
You thought wrong, counselor. It's true that the katana has blood from Miller's stabbing on it. And I'll admit it's surprising to see his blood on your client's bindings. Miller's autopsy shows he had no wounds beside the fatal puncture in his neck. So the bindings on my client had to have been intact at the time Miller died. But those bindings didn't need to be cut before your client could kill him.
What?
If your client's wrists were left bound for questioning, he could have stolen the gun, killed Tangson Creek, then picked up his sword, as he just stated in his testimony, and set to work.
You think my client was drugged and beaten before killing 4 men with his wrists bound?
Hardly impossible for a man with his talents. And there's no other explanation for why he would have cut his bindings with a sword that, as you insist, must have already been used to kill Miller.
No other explanation? Not even if he used something else to break out of confinement? Not even if he used my knife? What if my client had simply used this to break out?
What the hell is that?
Way overcooked from what I can tell. It's a murder weapon, Your Honor, one recovered from the scene of the crime.
That knife. Yes, that's what I grasped when I first woke up.
That's impossible.
What she said? There's nothing about a knife found seared to perfection in the ARCS data.
Is it overcooked or seared to perfection? This knife was not found inside the building, Your Honor. I retrieved it from the alley, immediately beside it.
Your android did? Need her to submit video evidence of the entire afternoon to verify it, Downing Thomas?
It's not the android I have trouble taking at her word, counselor. What forensics have been performed on it? There are no fingerprints remaining, and the DNA present in the blood is too damaged to be of use. But I have identified at least 2 different blood typings, AB- and B-, Your Honor.
Your Honor, the people are, of course, interested in forensic analysis of any evidence that seems pertinent to the crime at hand, but this was retrieved from an alleyway dumpster.
A soot-filled drum near an alleyway dumpster.
From an alley in the lower wards.
Without strong evidence linking it to the crime,
I see no reason to entertain the idea that this is some kind of 4th murder weapon. 3rd murder weapon.
What?
The bat was post-mortem.
The point still stands.
Well, how about it, Morgie? Any link between this totally not suspicious fiber-rolled knife and our crime? Or should we just throw it back in the garbage?
Again, it was a soot-filled drum by the garbage.
Of course I have more to go on than mere proximity, Your Honor. I have proof right here that this knife was what Sosuke used to cut himself free. I do? Oh, the bindings, right? Yeah. I'm maxing it out. The bindings have that DNA evidence.
The bindings, what of them?
They were clearly cut with something sharp.
Yes, we've been over that.
And the knife is sharp.
I'm not going to walk in circles of logic with you, counselor. No! My money!
I thought I had it right. Harsh, but fair. How would either of these prove it? I guess yeah, there's 3 blood things on here, right? I prove he wielded this knife. How does this prove he... Oh, the cut on his finger. Just take another look at that.
Your client's medical intake record.
Little late to still be drumming up sympathy, but if there are shirtless photos in the file, I suppose I have a duty.
There are.
What? I didn't remove my shirt for
If I may please direct the court's attention to one specific item. Slight laceration found on left hand.
What do you mean slight? Like a paper cut? More like a cutting board accident. Neither paints a very gallant picture. But if he had a cut on his finger when he was first arrested,
then it must have been sustained around the time of his escape. Easier for a bound man to use a knife to free himself with a knife than a two-handed sword as well. Yeah, that was kind of a thing I was thinking, was like, how would... I mean, like, you'd have to, like, prop the sword up against, like, your knee and the floor or something and, like, pull the bandage, like, towards it. It's a whole ordeal to do that while you're bound. Not impossible, but annoying. Like, when he was using a knife to cut himself out of the bindings while blindfolded.
Yeah, that makes sense. Even a master swordsman can nick himself on his blade every now and then. His katana
was found with a lot of blood on it, yes, but none of his own.
Adonai is correct. Yoru was thoroughly tested and found to have blood residue matching Miller, Trey, and Officer Chopin.
But not one drop of Sosuke's.
Meanwhile, we have a knife right here, ready to be submitted into evidence and studied under every microscope the state can find.
That just so happens to have Sosuke's exact blood type on the tip.
A B minus that blood type.
Doesn't match anyone in this case's full file, except for Sosuke. What? I do blood type fortune telling. So I have a hobby. Shoot me! 2 shots right to the base of my skull.
Counselor Morgan, perhaps you might grace us all with your formal request.
I call for this knife to be submitted into the record as forensically analyzed as quickly, as thoroughly as possible, as possible. Because I believe it is the murder weapon that actually ended Miller's life.
A knife to the neck?
Would be much easier to pull off than using the very tip of a sword. I'd, hypothesize.
Nice recovery.
Perfect, Ukemi.
What?
In other words, then, you're asking for the medical examiner to reevaluate whether this knife might be a better fit for the wound in Miller's neck.
Yeah, did you just repeat what she said, but slightly rephrased? A conversational tactic to surpass Metal Gear. It's worth repeating, Your Honor. Because the people understand the full weight of what this knife implies.
Implies? Knife.
It can overturn this entire case in an instant, depending on what Sato finds. Emma's repeating what I said because she's stunned. I just flashed her my hand and it was 1 card away from a full house.
The people have no objections, Your Honor. This trial requires that we fully examine this new piece of evidence.
Cool, so does someone have her number? Is there a group chat for a room for everyone who works for the government, or?
Dr. Sato is already on her way.
So there is a group chat and I'm not in it?
She'll begin the examination as soon as she arrives.
Guess we just slack off until she's done then.
It occurs to me, Your Honor, that we ought to thoroughly examine why this possibly critical piece of evidence was not found during the police's investigation.
The investigation and preservation of this crime scene was a joint effort between the police and Cyanus Security.
And perhaps our next witness can shine a light on the source of this deficiency.
I'm still not sure who actually killed that cop. At this point, the only thing that's clear is that it could not have been my client. Or me. But, like, I feel like I don't have any good candidates. Adelaide Hahn, site manager at Cyanus Security. I served as supervisor for the scene of the crime in case 356319B. Wow, can I call you lady? No, babe, what should I call you, though? Oh, well, you can keep calling me babe, or... You address the adjutant as your honor. Awfully cold name for such a hot.
Why the hell wasn't this knife found sooner?
Well, I hate to throw a business partner under the bus, but we at Cyanus Security maintain the perimeters and stand watch over secured scenes. It's the cops who do the searching and flagging. You'd have to ask them why they didn't go dumpster diving.
It was a drum.
The police aren't your business partners, though, are they? This is a very sapphic game. You know it! Happy Pride Month. I don't understand the question, Your Highness. Cyanus Security is a cell corporation. Also, she said Your Highness. A cell corporation. Informal rather than legal label of a business that operates without any clear or explicit knowledge of who its parent or sibling companies may be. That's interesting. Okay. What is my job? When you have a job and you go to work and you just don't do anything and then you go home and you're like, what is my job? Hold on, I gotta Google this. Cyanus Securities is a cell corporation opened by FIC Holdings, an offshore rebranding and effective pseudonym for Kim Acquisitions, aka the heart of the criminal organization operating in the lower wards that is commonly referred to as the Blue Blood Mafia. If you say so, sounds like it's above my pay grade. Permission to treat the witness as hostile. Can I get popcorn first? Do you know why the state cooperates with the Blue Bloods to this degree? Why you're allowed to run your business and manage your petty fiefdoms? Petty fiefdoms? How about this? It's a free country and we're loyal, capitalist, tax-paying entrepreneurs. You got your own explanation? It's because you're insignificant. Neither you nor your organization are on trial here today. That's not a favor and it's not a show of respect. It's just reality. The state is slow to shift its priorities. You aren't even the focus of this investigation. But if you impede this trial's progress by dodging questions and playing stupid, you'll find that the state shifts its attention to your neck very fast. You got questions for me then? Why wasn't the alley searched? Because the police found all the murder weapons within minutes. No rational person walked into that bloodbath and thought, gee, I wonder if there's a knife buried under a pile of ash in the alley downstairs. Your witness, counselor. My turn. Alright, lady. If my hunch is right, it'll be critical that I gather as much information as possible about the scene of the crime, and the ways in which it changed after I left, because I planted that knife specifically as a piece of evidence, without my prints, and someone got rid of it, and that's strange. When did Cyanus Security first arrive on the premises, ma'am? Midnight. About 2 hours after my client was arrested. You're sure? Checked my messages and saw the time right on my phone when we got there. You were there yourself? Trouble with being a site supervisor. You gotta stay on site. A lot of naps and parked cars. I'll let slip a few details about the building's setup when we first met. Time to get it all out on the record. Alright, building security. Do you know who owns the building that these crimes took place in? I don't. Do you know who installed the security features on location? It was Cyanus. Must have gotten hired by someone. Not my department. But you recognize some of the handiwork. The front door was Cyanus. The individual vault room locks too. That front door was locked when the officers arrived. They had to shoot it open. Shouldn't your security systems recognize officers of the law? Our doors use physical locks. A lot of folks in the lower wards don't trust a fob scanner that can be hacked. Physical locks can be bypassed too. Sure, but at least that takes time. Yeah, we should press on this. Is there any way to unlock that front door without its key? I mean, you could use a spare, right? Is there any way to lock that front door without its key? Yeah, but the technique's real complicated. You walk out and let it shut behind you. That door is designed to lock behind you automatically. It's a selling point for a building designed to be secure. How about the weather? It was a warm night, I'll bet. You asking me about the weather? Not exactly grade A small talk. Relevance, Your Honor. I was trying to be polite, but if you insist. Were the windows open in the building when you arrived? There's a lot of windows. Not sure. Crime scene in the room directly below it. Were there windows open? Yes, those windows were open when Cyanus arrived. Strange. Didn't it rain that night? That drizzle was over before 9 p.m. And even if it had been a downpour, it's not a crime to risk getting your windowsills wet. Alright, so the building wasn't completely sealed by the time you got there. Why was the building made soundproof? No, I'm not a building inspector, and I got the impression that this wasn't a place that cared about certifications. You oversaw the site for days and you can't tell the court?
The witness has already answered, Your Honor.
A witness that knows when to stop talking. At least I'm no worse off for having asked. The alley. That knife was found in the alley only yesterday, even though the police should have searched there. Yeah, seems like not everyone did their job. Did you do yours? Was the alley monitored around the clock? It was. Any disturbances to the scene in the alley? No, none. No, that's all the info we need. Thank you. That was a very enlightening conversation. But it raises just one question. Whoever could have gotten inside the building before Chopin and Rogers? Blackjack. Baby. That's blackjack. 21 skidoo. The hell are you talking about? Are we accusing her?
Your Honor, perhaps Counselor Morgan might narrow down her absurd attention-grabbing claim first, so that the people can properly eviscerate it?
Yeah, what she said. Someone got into the building before Chopin and Rogers did. That's become obvious.
What are you talking about? The only way into that building was through the front door. Chopin had to shoot it down. Are you suggesting that he didn't even try turning the handle first?
The front door wasn't locked.
That's not even possible. The witness just testified the door locks automatically.
Maybe someone left it open. Oh,
Damn it! Ow!
wait, I'm supposed to be a genius. Oh, fuck. What I meant to say is that the front door was properly locked all night.
Yes, it was, but in that case... If we know that the front door was locked all night, and we know that the master key was found on Creek's body on the 3rd floor, then where do I even... What the hell are you trying to say anyway?
Just that they used a spare key.
Oh, a spare key, how convenient. But completely unfounded.
The witness just testified that a spare key is the only other way in.
But there's no proof a spare key even exists.
Probably not, no.
Probably!
So how about I show the courtroom where it was hidden instead? Signs of being moved. Wait, is that finally... Yeah, is it under that damn dumpster? I'm betting a little on this one. I think it's under the dumpster. We still don't know why that thing was moved.
The dumpster? What is your obsession with presenting evidence found in the garbage?
I'm going to ignore that comment, and besides, there wasn't a spare key in the dumpster. It must have been underneath it. Yes, I was right. It's like putting the keys under your doormat, except it's a dumpster. And it weighs like 10 tons or whatever the hell. So they'd have to have like someone who's like enhanced, like lift that shit, right?
Is that true?
Or maybe a normal person could shove it. I don't know. Hey, don't look at me. I have no idea what she's talking about. That dumpster has clearly been moved, as indicated by the markings left from the dirty rain in the lower wards.
We can all see those marks, Counselor, but it could have been moved at any point after the last time it rained down there.
The witness just testified the last time it rained was 9 p.m. on the night of the murder.
Ugh. So what? Your claim is that a spare key to the front door was left underneath the dumpster? Not so dissimilar from leaving a spare key under a potted plant.
See, Sarah knows what's up. Or a sitting stone. Or Biwa statue. Yeah, Sosuke gets it.
This isn't anything like either of those examples. That dumpster is massive, and its wheels are long gone.
Correct. So if anyone had moved it after the police had arrived, the cops definitely would have heard it. If it was moved after the rain stopped and before Chopin and Rogers got there, that narrows it down to sometime between 9 and 10 p.m. And of course, someone would only bother to move a dumpster that heavy if they knew what they'd find underneath it. Someone like Modded forearms, that could be it. No, wait, no, because this would be after the murder, right? She's got modded arms, that's right. I think we're accusing Han. It had to be Han, of course.
Counselor?
As a known associate of the Blue Blood Mafia and an employee of the security company who installed the front door at the crime scene, she'd have known exactly where to find a spare key. That dumpster also happens to be incredibly heavy, but I don't believe this witness's mod documentation has been submitted to the court. Could you estimate for us your approximate lifting strength? You lift with your back, not your arms, lady. Pushing strength, then. Me? I couldn't push over a flower. Fact is, you're just bullshitting. There's no proof for any of what you've said.
We could check for your fingerprints on the front door.
You'll find them because I've used it plenty of times. It's my job. We could check for your fingerprints on the dumpster. That thing's filthy. You'd get nothing from but partials from a bunch of unlisted, and addicts, and whoever else is stumbling around in that alley. Would we? Dunno. But after you do, I might just recall how I nearly puked when I saw that crime scene, and how I might have stepped out into that alley to catch my breath. Would you believe I rested my hands on that dumpster then?
This line of questioning is unproductive, Your Honor.
Counselor Morgan cannot substantiate her theory because the fact is, there's nothing strange about Han's prints being on any centimeter of that building. Not when she spent nearly 2 full days patrolling it. True, fingerprints won't be enough. I need something more impactful. And I've got just the thing!
What?
Han was there that night. She was there before the police ever were, and she was there long before Cyanus showed up at midnight. And I can prove it right now.
How?
Exactly.
What?
I'm going to prove how she got there before the police did. What the hell was that? Someone got their damn phone on in the courtroom again? What?
I don't know, did you really have to do that again?
What is happening right now? This is a simple whistle. Every time I press it. Sierra hates it. It's like a dog whistle. Sorry, that one, I got my throat. I guess she would hate it too. She's also a robot. Every ad in the courtroom picks up a rather nasty frequency, as does any phone with a proper receiver app installed. So, should the witness be excused so she can answer her phone, Your Honor? You brought that shit into the courtroom.
Where exactly was this whistle found?
At the scene of the crime, of course. At the scene of your crime. You did it. No.
Near where Creek's body lay.
Police must have disregarded it as a keychain or toy. Didn't anyone ever teach them that when you find a button, you should press it?
That's the exact opposite of what you should do at a crime scene.
Yesterday, Dr. Sato testified that Creek was alive for several minutes after being shot. If he pressed this whistle even once in that time, the witness's phone would have started getting alerts. As I've demonstrated to the court just now. Anything to say for yourself, Miss Han? Did someone install the app on your phone as a prank? Its reception has a limited range. The lower wards is a tight-knit, high-density community. How far could you have been? Far! I wasn't in the area that night.
It doesn't matter what range she was at, Your Honor.
The defense claims that Han entered the building with some kind of spare key, letting the front door lock behind her to block Chopin and Rogers. But those 2 officers did enter after they shot the lock, at which point they didn't run into the witness. Creek was shot at around 9:45 p.m. Considering the time it would have taken Han to arrive and retrieve the spare key, she would have only been a few steps ahead of Chopin and Rogers.
After coming so far with your brilliant spare key deduction, are you now going to claim that she simply ran away?
No. At that point, she would have had to hide. Only door unlocked. It requires a skeleton key, which she would have had. Since they didn't see her, logically, we must conclude that she hid in one of the rooms on that floor.
That is logical, but also entirely conjecture.
Not this time. Detective London's testimony established the possibility. Remember what the good London Detective London Detective London. Remember what the good Detective London testified earlier?
Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so we focused on securing the area.
Or if you prefer Sarah's voice,
Rogers had already apprehended the suspect, so we focused on securing the area.
Sunshine and I cleared the first floor. All the rooms were empty, but one was unlocked.
Sunshine and I cleared the first floor. All the rooms were empty, but one was unlocked.
she read that twice.
Is that legal?
Can you teach me how to speak brackets out loud later? 2 police detectives have sworn that one vault on the first floor was found unlocked. Unlocked, perhaps by a spare master key? Oh! Is that some kind of big deal?
Your Honor, what Counselor Morgan is proposing would put the witness behind Officer Chopin and Rogers as they proceeded upstairs.
Not a bad place to be if you want to do some backstabbing. You gotta be shitting me. That's some creative geometry you're employing, Counselor. Imagining the witness as somehow getting positioned behind Tariq Chopin, yet somehow remaining invisible to the eyes of Officer Rogers. That's non-Euclidean crime scene recreation. Very novel. Her insult sounded really smart, so I'm inclined to agree. I thought I had something, but when I tried to put the cards on the table, how could Han have gotten behind Chopin on the 3rd floor? Was Rogers distracted at the window, maybe? Or wrong question. I'm getting ahead of myself, trying to work backwards at this point. I shouldn't ask what Han could have done to get in a position where she was able to kill Chopin. I should first ask what Han would have done to serve her own interests. Your Honor, there's some testimony I'd like the court to hear once more. If you could access the stenography protocol. Was I supposed to be taking minutes for this meeting?
I can recall any testimony you want to review, Adonai.
If Han won't self-incriminate, then the only testimony that could give me a clue as to her actions would be... Rogers, I guess, right? It wouldn't be London's. Sosuke. It'd have to be Rogers, because we think he was on the take, right? Recite Rogers' testimony from yesterday. Start from after they entered the building. This is the only thing close enough to a first-hand witness, right? So this has got to be it. What are you fishing for?
We heard a loud slam.
Oh wait, this is Rogers. We heard a loud slam! Chopin gets all deadly serious and insists I stay, and he goes ahead. That's it. That's the sound Rogers heard from the alley, the one that made Chopin want to form a pincer. That must have been when Han... moved the dumpster? A loud noise. No, because she would have been in there already. Landed on the dumpster? No, because she still needs to do the kill. She still needs to make the kill. None of these make sense. Disposed of the knife? That wouldn't make that big of a sound, right? Landed on the dumpster? Have done to protect herself. She didn't move the dumpster back, so at this point she's in the building, right? That was right after they entered the building, but she was already in there before them. So it would have had to have been... disposing of the knife? No, it shouldn't. That's not loud enough.
Did she tie it to a set of symbols first?
Dropping a knife into a trash can could hardly draw the attention of someone standing indoors. Yeah, that didn't make sense. The sound Rogers heard from the alley, the one that made Chopin want to form a pincer, that must have been when Han... That can't be when she moved it. Like, landed on it? The sound the officers heard was that of someone fleeing the scene. No, because she didn't do the kill yet. And onto the dumpster. What? It's a bit of a drop. Even a dainty suspect would make quite the racket using the dumpster lid to break their fall. Your Honor, if we have to entertain this thread of conjecture, why don't we at least ask for proof that it ends somewhere impactful? I hear you. Counselor Morgan, take this one seriously. You're telling me that? And what exactly are you accusing this witness of? Are you a pair? Are you a paired? Are you a pair? No, that's my cousin Tedo. But people confuse us all the time, the red hair. Are you prepared to accuse Han of having murdered Tariq Chopin? Yes. Obviously I am. Counselor, you... I'm joking. Well, absolutely no one's laughing. My theory is right, then it was the sound of Han fleeing the scene that caused the cops to split up. In other words, at the time she left, Chopin was still alive. See, that doesn't make sense, because now she was the only suspect. So if she left before he died, then she couldn't have done it. Miss Han didn't kill anyone. Oh! Oof, that was anticlimactic. I mean, perjury, who even cares? Perhaps now, Your Honor, the court can get back on track and bring this witness's testimony to a close. And considering the fact that she very, very well have perjured herself, I think it might be a better use of the court's time if we cleared the room for the remainder of this witness's testimony. No objections, Your Honor. Okie dokie! Bailiffs, clear the gallery and remove the defendant to a holding room. Oh!
They're forcing us out? What the hell? I'm old and I have a beard. They can't do this to me. Ah!
Hey, tag along, would you?
With Sosuke?
Can't let someone with a concussion fall asleep, right?
I am certainly not still concussed at this point.
See, he's delirious. Trust me.
Very well, Adonai. Good luck.
Place empties out faster than I thought. No gallery, no live feed, no bells and whistles. You just give your testimony to the defense, the people, and moi. Then when you're done, I get to watch them argue over whether or not I should add it to their record. So you think I got something contentious to say? Sorry, but it's just gonna be more of the cold shoulder. What I think is that you're scared. Oh, of what? Who, you? An audience. What, the pigs? You think I give a shit what any of them thinks, says, or does? Even if any one of them might leak what you say back to the old guard? What's an old guard? The ruling faction among the Blue Bloods, who can use young bloods like this witness as their cannon fodder. Where'd you learn all that? You been to a late dine special? Knowing Emma, she just learned all this from... Matter of fact, I did. Old guard knows where my loyalties lie. I'm no snitch. So now there's someone to snitch on? I don't help state prosecutors, and I definitely don't help Ikarian lawyers. The court's already emptied out. We can sit here in silence if you like. 15 minutes of nothing, and then you walk out. But when you do, someone's gonna make assumptions about what went on in here. Telling me I'm screwed if I do, screwed if I don't, ain't exactly got me feeling... Sosuke didn't kill Creek. Maybe you don't care if an Ikarian dog goes down for a crime he didn't commit, but how do you feel about the person who did put that hole in Creek's chest, toasting the news of the verdict? Screw this. 9:47 p.m., night of the murders, I got the alarm on my phone, knew it was Creek, because the whistles all have specific frequencies. You've got to set them into your device if you want to listen for them. Creek had nerves like ice. Strong bluffer. Wouldn't press that button unless he absolutely had to. I ran. Was fastest that way. On foot usually is in the lower wards. I knew where the spare key was, helped set up the whole damn place. Doors, keys, soundproofing. Stepped inside and had just gotten my phone light out when those two idiot cops came up, reds and blues but no siren. Trying to be some kind of movie shit. I thought they were gonna shoot me. Then I heard Chopin getting ready to break the lock and I knew they were gonna shoot me. I used the spare key on the nearest vault, dipped inside and prayed they would just head straight upstairs. Lucky for me, they did. You followed after them. At a distance, but yeah. So their boots on the stairs, their shoulders around corners. They split on the second floor. One went upstairs, he was quiet, except for that squeak on the fourth step. Creek used to joke that was a valuable security feature. They separated on the second floor without any prompting. Other one was stomping around the second floor, so I was able to keep my distance. Always knew exactly where that one was. Then one shouted down. He shouted, saying that everyone was dead. That must have been Chopin just before Sosuke snuck up on him. I liked Creek. His boys were alright too, but I did not want to join them in Red Hood's company. So I didn't risk sticking around a second longer. I opened that window on the second floor and jumped on it through the ground. I was willing to hurt my knees, fall on my ass if I had to, but I ended up smacking the dumpster instead. The guy on the second floor shouted after me, "They're in the alley! Ah, they're in the alley! Oh, fuck!" I heard windows slide open above me, footsteps on the fire escape. But my knees had stopped shaking and the fog was with me. They never saw me. You're saying you never even set foot on the third floor? Not until I came back hours later as a Cyanus rep, no. Where's the spare key now? Bottom of the bay at the moment. Hell of a throwing arm, as you can see. I ain't gonna help you go snorkel around for it if that's what you're asking. Well then, the people thank you for your testimony. You've cleared up a number of oddities surrounding this case. Though none of the answers you've provided have changed the fundamental facts of what the defendant is accused of. Not quite. She was in and out, counselor. Didn't even set foot upstairs. I know. Not until she came back to secure the scene, right? Out with it, counselor. There's no need for theatrics without the jury or gallery here. I'm still here. I do appreciate the witness being so forthcoming about her first visit to the scene. Now I just need her to explain why she started covering up evidence when she returned. What are you talking about? I mean, obviously, let's see. Second floor, in the trash. I mean, the knife, right? The knife? Who better to remove evidence from a crime scene than a Cyanus security professional? Cyanus arrived after the police established the arcs. It would have been captured. Oh, damn, you're right. Ah! Exactly? Exactly nothing. Damn it! Okay, no, that's fine. It has to be the scrap of paper. The scrap of taper. The red ink. This was already like that, right? This is all the blood. But this has a footprint on it, right? Matches security boots. Hidden by trash. Room below the crime scene. Why go to such effort to hide one small scrap of paper? What is that? More trash? Seriously? Let a raccoon write this case? That's exactly what it is. Trash! Garbage! Some idiot knocked over a trash can on the second floor. It's a big building. This stuff happens. Still don't want to answer. That's okay. I will. You covered up that scrap of paper because it implicates you as an accomplice. Didn't see that coming! Because it's nonsensical, Your Honor. Counselor, you just got done explaining how Han arrived after the pod was killed and left before Chopin died. Not an accomplice to murder. Just the mafia equivalent of leaking government secrets. Even though the papers were almost entirely illegible, it only took 4 characters for the P492 plan to blow up in court yesterday. Years of blue blood planning all down the drain because Creek was reading something he shouldn't have when he died. But if he shouldn't have had it in the first place, one has to wonder where he might have gotten it. All because of that one goddamn watermark. Identical to the one on your own business card.
Cyanus Security? You leaked the red ink?
Creek never asked nobody for nothing. A dumbass was a giver. Gave money, food, blood, more than any of us. Enough that the weaker ones wouldn't have to get stuck. A guy like that came to a two-faced con hostess like me and asked for help. That red ink is radioactive. Anyone caught with it, why would he ask you for it? Old guard knew Creek was charismatic, brave, and smart. Everything they feared in a young blood. But they also knew Creek made them too much money for them to just off. So the old guard decided to wear them down instead. More jobs than any other crew, more responsibilities. Less downtime, no sleep. Keep them too tired to have time to rebel, then wait for them to screw up. So you can make an example of them when they do. Managers would do the same thing when a host got too full of themselves. Started thinking they were the ones bringing in the money, they were the ones who should keep it. Just put him on the grind him into dust. One old bastard had them trying to grab that Icaria kid or whatever. At the same time, another expected them to do some kind of arms handoff to a big shot. Oh, the mask we stole. At least that was the rumor. Look, point is, Creek knew they had a target on their back already, so they wanted some kind of deterrent. They could have dropped that red ink into any inbox in town like a tactical nuke if they wanted to. But maybe that's why they fired their missiles first. You think the old guard killed Creek? I don't think it was that pretty boy Hound nursing those broken bones. Did he off the Chopin guy, though? I mean, I'd kill a stuck-up spoiled prick like that for no motive, so...
Did that answer your questions, counselor?
Not the most burning one. When did this scrap of paper arrive on the second floor? Wasn't there when I ran out that window.
It was dark and you were panicked. How could you even have noticed?
Paper's white. If you had seen it, would you have taken it? You kidding? Yeah, of course I would have taken it. Would have eaten the damn paper to make sure.
Why didn't you simply eat the damn paper when you did see it? Removing an item from an ARC-scanned building would set off any number of red flags. And the first thing that would happen is they'd wind the clock back to see what it was.
That's what I did. Looked back to see how the hell I missed it, but the damn thing was in every pick the ARCs had right from the beginning. Knocking over trash to hide it was the best I could do. Lower ward survival tactics. Hide in numbers. If this scrap wasn't on the second floor when you left, but it was on the ARCs from the start, that means Rhea's body cam saw it by the second floor windowsill. The one that connected to the fire escape.
Your Honor, I believe we're done with this witness, even though all we've managed to establish is that
someone went from the third floor to the second floor without taking the stairwell. Someone circled around.
Oh.
You got all that from one paper?
Am I stupid?
Am I stupid?
Just because those papers originated on the third floor? If that scrap was found by the windowsill, someone could have taken the fire escape.
Exactly.
Could have. Someone could have. But obviously they didn't, because then they would have run right into
Dr. Sato! She has some evidence or DNA or whatever. Maybe even an updated autopsy report if you even care. Should we let her in?
Your Honor, you're the one overseeing the trial, so
I can cry if I want to.
Open her up
and kick the flirt out. Hey, Miss Morgan. That Icarian dog didn't kill Creek's pod. No, he didn't. You gonna find out who did? Not your job, huh? Guess I deserve that.
Finding Creek's killer is not technically my job either, Han.
But if they're brought before me, I can promise I won't hold anything back. Appreciate the sentiment. I'm not gonna hold my breath. And I won't tell any of the other Youngbloods to hold theirs. Alright, well. Whew. She's here. Yeah. Lots of news to break. I'll leave the interpretation of the good and bad to you two. That's cool. Just imply I'm ugly. It's fine. Counselor Morgan's hypothesis stands. This knife matches Miller's entry wound. This knife. Well, how about that? And it matches the wound better than the katana, considering what we discussed yesterday. I'd be ready to say this is definitively the murder weapon used to stab Miller. But I've had no more luck with DNA testing than Sarah did. You weren't able to get anything? Nothing in the range of admissibility. However, like Sarah, I was also able to perform blood type analysis on the blade. And while I also found AB- and B- samples on it, I found one more blood type as well, A+. 3 people cut with one knife? This can't be hygienic. A+.
Barrows did it.
No. Chopin was A+. Creek was not. Imani's A+, but that's not relevant. Adelaide's not. A-. Mirai's A+? Okay, Morgan's A, B-. That was my big concern, was that I was going to suddenly match something. Minus. A, B-, so not Rogers. Not Sosuke. A+ blood. Who was there that night that had A+ blood? Your Honor, these findings bring a rather alarming fact to light. Wait, who was there that night that had A+ blood? Wait, hold on. Who was it? I wasn't paying attention. Not Burroughs. Chopin did, right? None of the others do. Not Daisuke. Not Han. No. Not Miller. Mirai does. She wasn't there, right? I wish these were just organized a little better. Sosuke, A, B-, A-. Yeah. Just him. If Dr. Sato believes that Miller was most likely stabbed by this knife and not the katana, that means this knife was also the source of Miller's blood on Sosuke's bindings. So either my client killed 4 men while cycling between a gun, a sword, a bat, and now a knife with his wrists tied together, all before ever stopping to cut his bindings, or he was still in captivity when the Blue Bloods were killed. But wait, that almost sounds like an alibi for 4 of the 5 murders. That is not an alibi, Your Honor. Merely an increasingly strong shadow of a doubt? The jury can decide that for themselves. The facts surrounding Tariq Chopin's death still stand. Sosuke Ikaria was the only living individual in the room Chopin was killed in. Sosuke Ikaria is the only person with his fingerprints on the katana, something he corroborated with his very own testimony just a short while ago, and the defense's theorized fleeing suspect has already been revealed as incapable of committing any of these crimes. Yes, but unfortunately for the people's case against my client, there's evidence that completely overturns our understanding of how Chopin died. Huh?
The knife, baby!
It's got that blood on it. The knife that Dr. Sato just confirmed was used on Miller. Oh, sorry. The knife that Dr. Sato just confirmed was used on Miller. Very likely used to kill Miller, yes. But definitely used to kill Chopin. What? What are you going on about? Blood typing. Chopin is the only victim with A+ blood. Even my client Sosuke had A B- blood. Yet Dr. Sato just told us that A+ blood was found on this knife.
That blood could have come from
Nowhere but the single fatal wound identified on his autopsy.
Chopin's blood was all over that scene. The knife could have fallen into it at any point.
Check.
Not at any point, no. This knife was removed from the crime scene and never seen by the ARCs. That means it had been moved into the alley before Detective Reyes arrived on the 3rd floor.
But Chopin was impaled by the sword. We've all seen it.
Yes, but not fatally. How could that stab wound not be fatal? Because it was post-mortem. Do I still need to be here? Gasp!
You're basing this on the blood?
Usually closely follows a stabbing, yeah. It's the amount of blood, Your Honor. An impalement doesn't leave much blood at the scene because the weapon acts as a stopper. I assumed the amount of blood at the scene was the result of the sword being jostled afterwards because the wound had been aggravated. But this knife turns that idea on its head. Yeah, it would look like the wound had been jostled. Let me try saying a sentence again. It would look like the sword had been jostled if you didn't know that a different weapon had been put in there first and then the sword stabbed through the same wound. Yes, Chopin was stabbed in the heart from behind, but it was most likely with this knife. He collapsed on the floor dead, then the knife was removed, and his corpse was impaled with the sword in the same wound. Yep. Leaving a mark on the floor, which does now finally make sense. He was already lying on the ground when he got stabbed with the sword. The sword was only then moved around, increasing the wound size and masking the initial knife's entry wound. Yeah, okay.
While utterly soaking the floor in blood. It's a possibility.
If I may, Your Honor. This may be just a possibility, but it's a possibility that makes the most sense to me. It explains the irregularities with the victim's substantial blood loss, the pattern of the wound, and the indentation on the floor.
It might make medical sense, Dr. Sato, but the sequence of actions you've described are not those of a rational human.
But wanting to frame Sosuke for the murder seems pretty reasonable. And stabbing the corpse with his katana would be the best way to do that. They need the katana to frame Sosuke? They didn't, because the knife had his fingerprints on it, right? Because he used the knife. Nope. Nope. I'm sure it occurred to them that the sword would point to Sosuke, but if their primary goal was framing him, all they'd have to do is put the knife in his hands. That's true. Swapping out the murder weapon and disposing of the knife is 2 to 4 times as much work. That many more chances to make a mistake. It's nonsensical. Stabbing Chopin's corpse with the katana didn't help them frame Sosuke. So what did it achieve? It made a big mess some poor schmuck would have to clean it up. Yes, that's... Chopin's blood nearly destroyed all the red ink dots at the scene. But who says that's a coincidence? What if Chopin was stabbed twice? Just so that his blood would cover up the red ink dots.
This is insane.
Makes sense to me.
No, not your logic for the stabbing.
This idea of yours that Tariq Chopin was part of some kind of conspiracy to defraud the city. Agreed, that is insane. I believe just the opposite.
You what?
Tariq Chopin was an unpopular, straight-laced political aspirant working as a cop only to improve his electability. I called this like last episode, like for sure. This was supposed to be his like hero cop moment. And then he'd be able to retire and move into politics. His personality, his family, his goals, he'd have every reason to blow the whistle on Prop 492.
And just get the whole project canceled?
Leaving the lower wards in an underdeveloped lurch. A lot of people would hate to see that happen. A lot of blue bloods. But the son of 2 city councilmen wouldn't care. And an Ikaria like my client would be actively rooting for it.
You think Chopin was murdered just to cover up the fact that Prop 492 had been corrupted?
Just all that money left on the table? Oh, maybe I was a little off. It was a cover-up. All the future money coming down the line, that's a much better motive than... What was it you proposed exactly? My client saw a police officer and would rather stab him than have to explain why he'd killed his captors?
Something along those lines.
So, like, what's going on now? Did Sosuke do it or not? That will be cleared up in very short order, Your Honor. With the help of our final witness. Who's the final witness? Is it me? Wait, it's finally my time. So Yoru wasn't even really used to frame me. It was used to draw more blood from the wound to soak the papers.
A very cold decision to make in the heat of the moment. Defiling a corpse just to protect investments.
Colder than stabbing someone in the back?
In some ways.
Didn't think that was up for debate.
Thank you for joining us once again, Officer Rogers, and making Streamer do that really, really poor Shaggy impersonation from Scooby-Doo.
Like, no problem. Where is everybody, though?
Well, after the shooting yesterday, I'd rather not risk the integrity or celerity of this trial by re-screening every member of the gallery when I've already cleared the room once.
Celerity?
Speed! Trials gotta go fast, baby! And it takes everyone a while to find their spot in the stands again. We were almost caught in the line of fire not 24 hours ago, Officer Rogers, yourself included. Surely you don't find the lack of an audience to be intimidating.
Nah, I guess not.
Where'd we leave off with this guy anyway?
I believe that lawyer over there just accused my late partner of being on the take for the Blue Bloods.
I was merely exploring a possibility raised by the witness's sworn tastement. That's when the witness gets up there and tastes stuff. Sworn statement, Your Honor. Yummy. They have you taste like fruits and candies. Yay! I love going to court. That he never heard any gunshots in the area himself.
And I stand by that.
Good. Does the defense have questions for this witness, Your Honor? Or should we all continue to glare at one another for the rest of the day? Tempting, but I guess we'd better not. Your Honor, we ask that the witness testify once more about how he and his partner arrived on the scene.
Yeah, no problem. I'll repeat it as many times as you like.
I'm gonna have to call you on that.
Whistle. Tweet, tweet. It was a quiet night, but then my partner heard gunshots. We headed for the nearest known Orca hotspot and arrived to find the building dead quiet. Door was locked. I checked the alley, but didn't see another way in. So Chopin shot off the lock through the door and we entered, man. Followed some kind of loud music up the stairs, and there was a slam, and my partner bolted to the third floor. About a minute later, I heard a thud from upstairs and came running. To find the defendant standing over my partner's dead body. Like, zoinks.
Adonai, are you waiting for something perhaps?
Just savoring the moment, I suppose. There's only one thing to do at this point, and once I hit the trigger on it, things will really take off. Rogers was on the take. Oh. A Shaggy witness story.
As I mentioned, I feel many times by now that is a very unpleasant tone, Adonai.
Sorry, Butterfingers.
Hasn't anyone ever told you it's in poor taste to use the same trick twice?
It's been a lot more than twice now. Besides, it's only an issue when it's used twice on the same audience. Speaking of which.
Oh, zoinks!
You gonna answer that, Officer Rogers?
Oh!
Just to fill you in, Officer, what I accidentally pressed just now is a whistle found at the scene of the crime. Weird coincidence that my little slip-up coincided with your phone vibrating. Can you read us the notification you received just now? Or should the court computer simply force open all of your devices and splatter your data across the walls? Officer Rogers, you have a so-called receiver application installed on that device, do you not?
Yes, I do.
Is that in line with department guidelines on use of third-party software on state-provided devices?
Like, it's not breaking any regulations, man.
Doesn't need to earn you any demerits to make you look guilty as sin. You and your partner, that is. Oh, did Chopin also have the app installed? We can go check.
If having that app on your phone makes you guilty of something, you'd have to arrest half the cops patrolling the lower wards.
What do you mean?
It's common knowledge that orcas use unconventional tactics to talk to one another. Flags on buildings, clothes left out on lines, smoke signals, probably even messenger pigeons. Where?
Don't jump scare me like that. Yowza. When you've got a figure this statuesque, every pigeon's a disaster waiting to happen.
Anyway, whistles like that aren't uncommon.
So is it common for members of the police department to try to listen in on the chatter of groups like the Blue Blood Mafia?
Lower wards aren't a place a cop walks out into without every weapon they can carry. And that goes double for information.
So there's nothing suspicious about his phone reacting to that horrible, horrible racket? And I had to put up with that noise for nothing.
Not for nothing. The witness is correct, Your Honor. There's nothing suspicious about having a receiver installed on any of your devices, even if you aren't a cop. What's incriminating is the fact that Officer Rogers' device responded to the specific frequency of this whistle. Back now, any more lesbian under or overtones? Baby, this whole game is overtones. We had a witness, and she was flirting with the judge. Maybe you were here for that. Things continue to be gay anyway. There's that background Yuri radiation, you know?
Oh.
Sorry, officer. A little blue birdie already told the court that you need to input a frequency in order to get alerts for it. Floor it.
Yeah, I know that. So does the whole force, in fact.
What? I see. The hell is she reading over there? Officer Rogers, testify about this anonymous tip that the police department received last night.
Ah, shit.
Lesbian subtext and dom text. You're right, dom text. Wait, I need me some of that. Oh,
I haven't seen the submission myself, but it came through the apartments network straight to everyone's inboxes. Be advised, anonymous tip suggesting potential orca analog chatter at the frequency listed below. Patrol officers in lower wards, use this information at your discretion.
That's absurd. What's the point of informing every cop in the city about a secret communications channel? The Blue Bloods would find out their line is compromised within minutes.
Would they? I don't know. I don't control how anonymous tips get handled.
But as soon as you got an email telling you there might be a criminal communications occurring at a random frequency, you tuned into it right away?
Believe it or not, I'm a little concerned about criminal communications these days, Scoob. I haven't seen my partner murdered by an orca right in front of me. Barely 24 hours before nearly getting shot myself.
Back up. You saw the moment of your partner's death? That's news to the court.
You know what I mean.
Your Honor, the tip was submitted and the frequency was spread throughout the police department network. Likely because the Blue Bloods believed it to be compromised, having already been used at a scene where 4 of their members died. Officer Rogers may have the receiver app on his phone, but so do many other police officers in this city. The app doesn't provide timestamps of when frequencies are added.
So there's no proof of when his phone first started listening for the frequency. That's great news.
Neither he nor his partner were members of the Organized Crimes Unit. Therefore, they had no criminal informants of their own, and they could not have obtained this frequency before the rest of the department. Since the defense cannot prove that this signal was acquired illegitimately,
I never said I couldn't prove that. Oh. That's why they let Tanks go after frisking him and finding the illegal gun. This finally makes sense. I'm all in on this one, man. This has got to be it.
the gun, what of it?
Not just any gun, a Mag US legally registered to Ankur-Tan. And how do I know that? Because this gun was identified and scanned over a week ago, when Tanks was briefly detained by some well-meaning officers on patrol.
A report.
Officers TC and HR reported the following: subject in possession of firearm in violation of parole, and subject in possession of suspect communication software installed on personal phone.
He wrote all of that in the report?
You and your partner found the emergency frequency for Creek's pod over a week ago by skimming Tanks' phone, and sat on it until last night when you kindly dropped it off in the tip box.
What the hell are you even saying? Why would we frisk a perp, get good intel, and keep it to ourselves?
For the same reason your partner might report a generic shots heard over the police network when he already knew exactly where to look. The same reason he'd be ecstatic at finding documents on Prop 492 at the site of an orca bloodbath. You wanted your gold stars.
I was right. It was the hero cop moment. They wanted to be commendated for this shit. Oh!
You wanted to be first on the scene at the site of a blue blood massacre. Counsel is badgering, Your Honor, and losing her meager thread of logic in the process. The previous witness testified that there was, in fact, a silent alarm that night. A silent alarm that needs to be actively pressed. It could only have gone out before Creek's heart stopped. Said witness responded to the alarm by traveling on foot, and yet arrived well before Rogers and Chopin. The lower wards are maze-like. She could have been closer. That whistle has a limited range over which it can be received. You propose that Officer Rogers and Chopin were within that limited range at 9:45 p.m., yes? Obviously you do, or else they would never have received the frequency at all. So if person H is on foot and individual R is in a police car, and they both receive a signal at the same time, and a train leaves Appletown at 3 p.m., that seems like an irrelevant factor. All the court needs to consider is this: how could Officer Rogers and Chopin have possibly arrived later than someone traveling on foot if all three were within that range? Can't believe I told my geometry teacher that none of this would ever be useful. This isn't geometry, damn it, it's just logic. The fact is they did arrive later than Han. If I'm right about the motivation for Chopin's actions that night, if he was sitting in his police car and suddenly got a notification telling him some blue bloods were having a life or death emergency, how would he react in that moment? It would seem that the defense does not have evidence available to address this contradiction, Your Honor. Evidence explaining exactly how Chopin proceeded to the crime scene? Do it. Huh? I don't think we've got anything that could show that, right? Like, was the vault door? No, the bat's not relevant. Dumpster doesn't matter. Fire escape I don't think is relevant. The front door though. And they shot it. I think we have to stay on this. I don't think we have evidence of exactly how we got there. Regretfully, Your Honor, we do not have such evidence in our possession. But fortunately, Your Honor, we live in a surveillance police state. Pardon. And that makes it pretty easy to surveil police officers. Yeah, we don't have the evidence, but it exists. Okay. The officer's patrol car, their cell phones, traffic cameras, and optics data. I could request any of it. Hell. Your Honor, I formally subpoena all of it.
What?
What?
Can she do that?
I'm not sure. I'm still learning.
Ray's drunken swipe at my front door reminded me exactly how much power the police have. But it was her dutiful checking in that made me realize just how hard it is to lose a cop in this city. Whatever it takes to answer this question for the court. After Officer Chopin reported that he heard shots fired at 9:45 p.m., Exactly how long did he and his partner do donuts in the parking lot before actually driving off to the scene?
No!
Kind of a big ask from the defense, but it's entirely doable. Do the people object? The people, of course, object to any data collection effort that would be a waste of taxpayers' money or a violation of their privacy. So we would prefer that the range of this request be narrowed somewhat. Narrowed perhaps from everything to something. Happy to do that, Your Honor. I promise not to act like a kid in a candy shop when browsing through.
If you do this, if you subpoena that data, you'll deceive me driving like a lethargic moron.
Officer Rogers. He seems different. Hardly recognize him.
Agreed, but I recognize his type. Soldier.
Your Honor, what the defense is suggesting is largely accurate.
Pardon? That's a first.
Though there are some corrections I feel I should make at this time.
No objections here?
Officer Chopin is the one who discovered the frequency when we apprehended Anchor 10. He entered it into both our receiver apps at that time without my knowledge. It wasn't until the night in question that he chose to inform me the intel he had obtained and how he planned on acting on it. At 9:45 p.m. we received a signal. Before I could react, he had put out a notice on the police network that he had heard gunshots. It was at this time that he told me to drive towards Blue Blood territory. As he started to explain to me what he believed we would find, I chose to take a suboptimal route. We spent several minutes in traffic as he berated me for my sense of direction.
So you both knew the silent alarm would lead you to some kind of blue blood emergency. But only you realized that meant you should take your time getting there.
Logically, a silent alarm is triggered during a confrontation, not afterwards. I had no desire to walk into the crossfire of an orca gunfight without backup.
You could have had backup easily.
My partner had no desire to share our intel or how we obtained it. I apologize to the court, Your Honor, for being evasive or misleading during these proceedings, and I intend to take full responsibility for doing so. But I was not eager to admit the role of my own cowardice played in these events. Nor would I ever want to imply that Officer Chopin was responsible in any way for his own murder. Like Zoinks.
Very warm sentiments from the officer.
Delivered with a voice as cozy as ice water. So you're telling the court that you and your partner arrived at what you expected to be a bloodbath. And you still shot the lock off a door and started stomping around inside while separated from one another?
Respectfully, ma'am, with the route I took and the time it took us to arrive, we expected to find all targets neutralized. And that expectation was reinforced when we arrived on the street and found the whole vicinity dead quiet. Yet we were still first on the scene, despite my stalling for time. I think I might have enthused my partner. He was excited and I let him set the pace. It's my deepest regret that I agreed with his request to split up.
First to arrive on the scene, we know that wasn't the case. The Blue Blood got there well before you and your partner.
That's what you were talking about?
The witness wasn't present for that individual's testimony. He's merely giving the facts as he knows them. And he can't have known that there was a Blue Blood in the building. On the contrary, he already testified about encountering them yesterday, as they made a not-so-silent retreat down into the alleyway.
That was a Blue Blood making all that racket? I see. My partner Chopin, he shouted that there was someone scrambling around in the alley not too long before he was killed. He must have opened the windows on the 3rd floor to check.
That's a new detail, Officer Rogers.
Pardon me if I failed to mention it yesterday.
It occurs to me you weren't present in the courtroom when this other curious detail was brought to light. The fact that there was another weapon at the scene of the crime. A bloody knife, which somehow ended up down in the dumps. Know anything about that?
No, ma'am, I do not.
Playing dumb, wrong move.
But I do know Cyanus is a bunch of amateurs with conflicted priorities.
Explain this to the court then. Forensic analysis has already shown that this knife was the murder weapon used to stab Miller, getting a healthy amount of his blood on it in the process. It's also been established this knife must have been what my client used to cut his own bindings.
If you say so.
The evidence says so.
If the defense isn't interested in asking the witness questions, perhaps they'll answer mine. What does that have to do with Officer Rogers? Whose phone is that? Hello, hey!
Everything, of course. Allow me to show you why. What does this have to do with Officer Rogers? His blood's on the knife, isn't it? I guess London's testimony? This hasn't come up, but it's the only one that directly involves Rogers. We know for a fact that Sosuke had to use that knife to cut his bonds. And Detective London has testified that Officer Rogers apprehended Sosuke alone. So why can't the officer who apprehended the man, last known to be using this knife, tell us how it ended up in the alley? Yeah, there we go, okay. He would have been the only one there before the knife was moved, right? Because it had to be moved after the murder. Which means he's the killer. He's the killer, ain't he?
A question well worth asking the witness.
I have no idea what you're talking about. When I found your client, he had the Mag US and he had the sword. The sword he had stuck through my partner. This knife you're talking about? Where'd you find it?
In the trash.
Down in the alley? Well, then some crime scene tech idiot must have thrown it out thinking it was bio-waste. Or some Cyanus lackey tossed it as a prank. I wouldn't know. Because I spent hours being debriefed in that room on 3rd floor while they set up the arcs. I spent all night in a room with my partner's corpse. Never took a trip down to the empty recycling bin.
We know the knife was with Sosuke at one point, and we know it ended up and down in the alley later. So it stands to reason that someone had to walk it downstairs and out of the building. If Rogers never left that room all night, then someone else must have moved it. No, he could have done it, right? I think he could have done it. 0 points for you. 0 points again? All that processing power and you can't manage to think in 3D? It doesn't matter if Officer Rogers stayed in that room all night, Your Honor. All anyone needed to do to dispose of the knife was to step out onto the fire escape and drop the knife down into the barrel waiting below. No need to leave the 3rd floor. No need to leave the crime scene at all, Officer Rogers.
What kind of trick shot bullshit are you talking about?
That is a long drop, Your Honor.
A straight drop, gravity's convenient like that.
The target was a small drum in a dark alley.
Said drum was burning when the police arrived. The target would have been plainly lit and I've taken both of your arguments into consideration.
After much deliberation, I have come to the conclusion that the proposed method of removing the knife from the 3rd floor is not actually that hard to do. Assuming a modicum of hand-eye coordination and a basic understanding of Newtonian physics.
Well, obviously, couldn't anyone manage that?
Practiced martial artists who are masters of every muscle in their body, individuals like yourself and me, might find it hard to relate, but there are some who would struggle with the task.
Yourself and I. Wait, hand-eye coordination?
Eloquently put, Your Honor. So you must agree that someone with hand-eye coordination so bad that they hold the record for worst marksmanship in the entire police department. Someone with such poor aim that they opted to physically assault a target rather than shoot them. Someone like that might find it impossible to pull that off.
Ah! Are you talking about me?
She's talking about me, Your Honor.
And while I find her tone unflattering, none of what she said is false.
Apologies that dropping the knife from the fire escape didn't occur to me as a possibility. It must be that for me personally, such a method of compromising a crime scene is not only unthinkable, it's impossible.
All the stupid details that come back and bite me in the ass. The piss poor aim that London mentioned. Ooh, needed a little water for the throat there. Woo-hoo-hoo.
Is it possible that Officer Rogers faked his poor aim at the academy?
It's easy to not hit your target. But why would he intentionally flunk a shooting test years ago? Give himself such a strange alibi here today.
He didn't flunk his test. He got the very lowest score you could possibly get while still being certified.
Good lord, you'd have to be trying to...
What? Has he been some kind of plant all along? Like, what?
If his goal was to receive the exact minimum number of points needed to pass, his margin of error would actually be much smaller than anyone simply doing their best.
But then what about when he first saw me? It's true that any other cop who saw me standing over their dead partner would have just unloaded. Instead, he ran up and hit me. If he's not actually that bad of a shot, why am I still alive?
That's the story Rogers has been telling so far, that he instinctually didn't bother to fire. His gun wasn't discharged, and Sosuke's got the bruises, so he accepted that line of reasoning. But if I assume he's more dangerous than he's led us to believe, why wouldn't he have just shot Sosuke when he had the chance?
Like, guns are so loud, man. I hate them. Oh, they spooked me out. Oh, school. Zoinks.
He could have told his fellow officers whatever story he liked afterwards, and we wouldn't even be having this trial. I feared for my life. That's all he'd need to say. Under what circumstances would it have been impossible for him to claim that? Your Honor? I'm reminded just now that my client and the witness were in a physical altercation.
I apprehended a murder suspect, yes. Surely you aren't suggesting I used unreasonable force?
Loving my devil right now? True, same. If anything, you used unreasonably little. Not at all, but I imagine things happened fairly fast. Can someone please silence your phones? Wait, we got rid of everyone. Who the hell else in this courtroom has their phone on? Isn't it possible the knife on Sosuke's person may have been knocked away into a corner during that moment? What are you...
It may have. I can't say that I wouldn't have necessarily noticed something clattering onto the floor while I was trying to cuff a violent perp.
Perhaps, Your Honor, the witness ought to testify about everything he recalls from the moment he confronted my client? Jogging his memory might be the only way we can address these gaps in our knowledge.
No objections.
Then let's hear it. Good versus evil. Man versus machine. Cop versus robber!
I'm not a machine or a robber.
Don't worry, Sosuke. If need be, Ad and I would go through a whole trial just to prove you're a machine.
What kind of joke is that?
Yoru? Fire escape. Sosuke's med record, sorry.
When that blue blood fled down the fire escape into the alley, I poked my head out the second floor window. Well, then I heard a sickening thump from above, on the third floor, where I knew my partner was. Reflexively, I drew my service weapon and rushed up the stairs, where I saw the defendant standing over my partner's dead body. I was shocked, but he was clearly injured, and the sword was stuck, so before I knew it, I was running at him. He turned to me with dull shock, just as I whipped my pistol butt into his forehead. He collapsed after that, and the room was a mess. My blood was pumping.
Into his forehead.
If he had dropped a knife at that time, I wouldn't have noticed it.
His forehead. Where's... Left hand broken, laceration left hand, internal bleeding throughout the torso and skull. Nothing on his forehead. Front side of body. Crown of the skull, back of the head, near the top. Okay. You hit him from behind. Yeah, one of those details is about to bite him in the ass.
Buddy!
Ain't nobody punched him in the forehead. Sounds very brave, Officer Rogers, but that's physically impossible. How could you have knocked my client out with one strike to the forehead when it was the back of his head that was injured? Oh, what are you talking about? Yesterday he had bruises across his entire body. An exaggeration that doesn't hold up to the scrutiny of his actual medical record. Largest wound found on the crown of the head. The crown, as in the top of the back of the head? The butt of a pistol leaves a surprisingly specific impression on the human body, Officer Rogers. I assume Dr. Sato is still in the building. Perhaps we should call her back and have her examine my client on the stand. Sosuke, you'll have to remove your shirt.
To get my head checked?
That would be a waste of time, Your Honor. Ooh, whenever this music kicks in, I know shit's about to go down. Counselor Morgan has taken advantage of some rather vague wording in the medical record to make her argument. Largest wound. But the fact is, the defendant was covered in various bruises all over his body when he was taken into custody, including on the front of his skull.
She's not wrong. I still remember every ache. It's entirely possible that when Officer Rogers struck
It's entirely possible that when Officer Rogers struck the defendant on the forehead, the blow was glancing, but still hard enough to knock the defendant backwards. And had he fallen backwards hard, he very easily could have sustained a large wound to the crown of his head at the moment he hit the ground. Respectfully, Your Honor, that's ultimately not something either the people nor the defense are experts on. But even if we were, neither of us could examine wounds that are no longer visible.
Sasuke's injuries, they've mostly healed as of this morning.
Hope that injection helped you sleep really well last night, Sosuke. Your Honor, as I see it, either we could extend this trial indefinitely, with both the people and the defense flying in X-ray specialists and contusion analysts argue back and forth about fracture lines, or we could accept that events more or less took place as the witness described. He hit the defendant on the head, and then the defendant fell backwards onto the floor. If the head wound's open to interpretation, then... the medical data still doesn't support it. Forget expert witnesses. Let's all just look at the medical data with our own two peepers.
Peepers?
Officer Rogers claims that Sosuke was hit on the forehead and fell backwards, but what would he have fallen onto? In that room, probably blood and guts. Yuck. You're exactly right. All kinds of firsts happening in that courtroom today. He would have gotten blood all across his back. But that's not how he looked when he was arrested. The medical report clearly states he had blood on the front of his body, telling us that Sosuke could have only fallen forward.
And what of it? Maybe he did. Maybe he turned his head weird while trying to dodge.
Things happened fast. Don't try to bullshit a bullshitter. Fast enough that you may have, in fact, actually struck my client from behind?
Yeah, maybe.
Took him by surprise when he was no threat to you?
What? No!
Easy target to knock out at that point. Makes sense why you wouldn't use lethal force in that scenario.
No, he was... The guy's got nearly a full head on me!
True.
I don't deny it.
Which makes it highly unlikely the witness could have simply hit him on the crown. If things happened as you say and he had the element of surprise, he would have simply aimed for the easiest target possible, the one easiest to reach, the center of the bottom of the skull. Not quite. Excuse me? I never said that my client was standing up when this happened.
Oh, you mean?
He was asleep. No. Considering that he was struck on the crown of his head, it's obvious that at the time Sosuke Yakaria was. He was kneeling. He was bent over. He was like trying to get the sword out of the guy, right? My client must have been bent over. He was bent over when the witness came from behind and...
Adonai.
What, why are you interrupting me now?
Because I thought you would want to know you were about to phrase things in a way that would sound very silly.
What are you talking about?
Sarah's right, Morgan. You should let her take this one.
Huh? What?
It was when Sosuke bent over to pick up Yoru.
Oh, that makes more sense, because the sword wouldn't have been in the guy, yeah.
That's when Officer Rogers struck Sosuke on his crown.
As I've said, the one thing I do remember besides walking out there was picking up my sword.
Good bit.
A bit.
Picking it up off the ground.
Having your android argue the weaker points for you now, counselor. Not exactly the bravest tactic. Tactics are for refreshing your breath. What can you claim? God. What can you claim is weak about the argument?
Positioning. If your client really had walked out of that holding room and then immediately was hit from behind, where could his assailant have possibly been standing? Sosuke had to get out of his bindings first and then push open the door. And he wouldn't have been concerned with keeping quiet as he went. There would have been plenty of time for someone to hear him rummaging around in there. They'd figure out where they could hide. In the corner of the room, here. That doesn't work. If that was the case, your client would have fallen face first here. But instead he was apprehended here in the center of the room. Hey, makes sense to me. Looks like he dropped like a sack of potatoes by the door, sure. But then he was dragged to the center of the room. That's the smear on the floor? Would explain the streaks of blood we can see were discovered on the floor. So those weren't left by him gliding his feet in order to move silently? I was hoping to learn that technique.
Sarah is such a weird little dork. I love her.
Your Honor, I fear the defense may not realize the weight of the implication that her statement carries.
If, as she claims, Sosuke Ikaria was knocked unconscious by Officer Rogers the moment he walked out into the room, then my client never had any opportunity to stab Tariq Chopin in the back. And the only remaining individual who could possibly have killed him would be me!
Oh no. He did it, and he has that voice?
Oh no. Shaggy voice.
Yes. Any thoughts on that, officer?
There's one thought that's been frustrating me for some time, actually. One I expected the prosecutor to voice, but perhaps I misjudged her.
You what?
None of what you're saying makes any sense. You say I hid in the corner to surprise Sosuke, and that I then what? Snuck up on Chopin? How could I do any of that if I was downstairs at the time Chopin was killed? At the time Sosuke killed him!
It's not that the thought hadn't occurred to Emma, you idiot. It's that once I address this point, your entire testimony falls apart. And the truth of the case becomes crystal clear.
I knew Shaggy could do it. Scooby Snacks have been out of production for 6-7 years? What?
I'm so old. I don't even understand 6'7", man. I don't even get it. I'm just old. There's no misunderstanding on my part. Oh, she gets 6'7". She's young enough. And I suspect none on the part of the people either. Because the truth is, when you and your partner arrived, you must have immediately knocked out Chopin? Taken the lead. You were the one who took point, not your partner.
Excuse me?
Chopin shot open the lock, sure, I believe that. He was the one all gung-ho about coming there anyway. But after entering, you went ahead of him while he covered you.
What?
You already told us you wanted to stall, wait for backup. If Chopin charged forward, you couldn't slow him down. But if you went first, you could go as slowly as you like, and Chopin would be forced to match your pace. You were the one who cleared the room and shouted down that everyone was dead.
I told you! I testified!
So did your blue blood tail, testified all about how you and your partner separated on the second floor. Objection, objection, mischaracterization of testimony. The witness the defense is referring to did encounter two officers, but the witness never identified either of them. The blue blood didn't need to. All they were waiting to hear was whether any blue bloods were alive. So after Rogers shouted down to Chopin that everyone was dead, they bolted out the second floor window. And when Chopin shouted someone was in the alley, Officer Rogers opened the windows behind Creek's body to try and spot the runner. And he ran down the fire escape to try and follow them, only to give up when he saw there was no ladder to get down with. It's entirely possible that Chopin yelled that someone was in the alley from the third floor. The scene of the crime is soundproof, remember? No one in that room would notice a commotion in the alley unless they'd already opened the windows to check it. So since Chopin yelled about it, he had to have been the officer who stayed on the second floor.
This blue blood rat of yours just misheard. Or they're lying. There's no proof for any of this.
Yes, there is, officer. It's stuck to his foot. Wait, no, did it? Hold on. Yeah, this doesn't have the blood on it. Common type of boot print. Used by cops. I remember that part of the discussion. That's probably why it was missed then, too. All in!
That scrap of paper was found by the second floor windowsill.
But it's not just any scrap of paper. It matches the red ink documents that were found where the pod died. And it happens to have a partial boot print on it, proving that someone stomped from the crime scene down to the fire escape and onto the second floor.
That doesn't prove anything. Your own client could have left that boot print.
My client was arrested barefoot, remember? You should. You did the arresting.
Then maybe Chopin?
If Chopin was the one who brought the scrap down from the third floor, that would put him behind you, meaning you couldn't have walked in on him being attacked by Sosuke.
Oh!
Counselor, even if we accept that Rogers was on the third floor and then moved down to the second,
the sequence you're describing ends with both officers reunited on the second floor, with neither of them dead. But obviously Chopin did proceed to the third floor because that's where he was killed. So now we're back where we started. Back where we started? You're forgetting one key detail in this new sequence of events. At the time the officers reunited on the second floor, my client was already unconscious. Ooh! Meaning the only person who had a chance to kill Officer Chopin was, in fact,
None of this shit matters. This lawyer's trying to accuse me of killing my partner? That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Why would I do something like that?
depends. What? Depends where you live. Not uptown, I assume?
What's it to you?
Single bedroom?
Yeah, whatever.
Not great.
Excuse me?
And having to ride around all day with some insufferable, spoiled, rich stick in the mud. Knowing the whole time that you, your job, your whole goddamn police department, it was all just a bullet point on his resume.
counsel is badgering the witness in lieu of making an actual argument.
Apologies, Your Honor. I'll state the motive plainly. Prop 492 was corrupt. Blue Bloods and worse could profit off it at the city's expense. But it would also bring economic relief and Bradley needed repairs. Someone repair Bradley for me? Badly needed repairs to the lower wards. It might also stop the canopy from, just falling down and crushing everyone who lives there. But a climber like Chopin wouldn't care about any of that. Every photo I've seen of this guy, he's had a big stern frown. Not Bradley! He needs the repairs! Please donate to Bradley's repair fund to repair Bradley. He's in bad shape. But I'll bet he was grinning ear to ear when he found that red ink. It must have made you sick to your stomach. So you killed him, and then you bled him like a pig to try and destroy the documents he'd have plastered all over town.
You're crazy! That's not possible!
Do the people have anything to add? Emma hates losing, but she's not stupid. She must be getting sick of having to cover for this. Officer Rogers, you were the one who entered the third floor first, weren't you? What is she doing?
Yes.
How long were you there before your partner alerted you to someone escaping through the alley?
More than 2 minutes, less than 3.
You had a chance to start looking the room over?
Yeah.
And did you see anything as politically explosive as what the defense has described?
No, nothing of the sort.
Your Honor, the witness is blatantly lying. We know the documents were there, and we know Chopin found them because they were found underneath his corpse. And it is the defense's theory that he was killed because of those documents. Because he would have tried to make them public, essentially? Yes. That's the defense's proposed motive for this man to kill his partner? Yes? I see. But why would he be prepared to kill his partner for reading documents left out on a desk? When he had over 2 minutes to simply get rid of them beforehand. I'm in check! I love the blinky effects. Thank you. Annie style. Sorry.
A damn good question, Your Honor.
Do we have an answer for it?
I'm getting there. I'll get there. I'm close. His layers are falling off. This is a cold guy, cold enough to walk into that room, knock out Sosuke, and start calmly looking around. So is he lying? Did he actually see those papers? Was giving him Shaggy's voice a mistake? No. Emma's right. If the papers were in plain view, he'd have just tucked them into his jacket. But the papers were in plain view. Were they? I don't remember. Where the hell did I put them if not on the desk? I remember taking them out of Creek's safe and thinking they were nothing important, so I just... Okay. That's probably how one page got left where it could stick to the bottom of Rogers' foot. It was rude. Saving the documents for blackmail? He didn't want the documents out at all. He didn't want any of this coming out. He wants to be a mover and shaker. He wanted to be in on it. But the guy who got killed, he's in this for like the glory and the, you know, the resume bullet points, right? Uncovering that kind of corruption. Ooh, that's a gold star, baby. That gets you into politics with a nice shiny police badge backing you. Before I left, I reorganized things, tried to make it seem like I was never there, so I stacked things neatly. Yoo-hoo, counselor! Any cuckoos in or around the nest? Pardon me, Your Honor, I was simply overthinking, to be honest. Officer Rogers didn't dispose of the red ink when he had the chance because he didn't notice the red ink. It's that simple. A simple answer to a simple question that simply doesn't measure up. If Officer Rogers didn't notice the red ink docs in the 2 minutes he had with the scene, how did his partner discover them so quickly? Neither of them were looking for illicit government documents at the site of a gang shooting. Neither of them would want to start a disturbing crime scene. Starting a disturbing crime scene? Oh my god, I'm always going around and splashing extra blood and organs everywhere to make crime scenes more disturbing. Neither of them would want to start disturbing a crime scene when there were bodies and blood all around them. Wow, why was that so hard to say? Correct. Rationally, neither officer would want to start making a mess of the scene. Something must have simply caught Officer Chopin's eye. Very bad luck on his part, as it turns out.
You gotta be... What the hell are you talking about?
What could it have been? Sounds like a tough question to answer, but there aren't as many possibilities to sift through as you'd think, Your Honor. Because it would have to be something that caught Officer Chopin's eye, yet not that of his partner. In other words, something at the scene that Officer Rogers wouldn't recognize. Your Honor, this is pointless. If the officers knew this was the site of orca violence from the silent alarm, and there was blood and corpses all over the damn place, and if the red ink docs were not in plain sight amidst all that carnage, what could possibly have drawn Officer Chopin's attention to them? I need to retrace Officer Chopin's steps specifically. Is there anything in the evidence record he left a trace on? Yes. His fingerprints are... Oh, it's not here. His fingerprints were on the data pad. Oh, he would know what a dark card is, but Rogers probably had never seen one before. Because this guy was big money, and these are only for big money black market shit. All in. When Rogers first entered the crime scene, he must have seen Creek's datapad resting on top of some papers. You think the red ink documents were beneath the datapad at the time? That might explain why Rogers didn't notice them, but that's only half an answer. Then how's this? It wasn't the datapad that drew Chopin's attention, Your Honor. It was the dark card that was stuck inside it.
The dark card?
Seems like little more than a fancy credit card to you or I. But if you're rich enough, it's an unmistakable sign of powerful forces at play. Exactly the kind of thing that put a gleam in the eyes of the politically ambitious Officer Chopin. Right up until the moment he saw the bombshell hidden underneath the datapad. Your Honor, this speculation. Chopin's prints were discovered on the datapad, Your Honor. We know he must have picked it up. And that datapad was found by police on the desk, so we know he must have put it down. I'm merely proposing that he didn't put it back down in the exact same spot. That's because the dark card happened.
Hey, seriously. What the hell have you two been talking about? What the shit is a dark card?
Whoa, Shaggy.
I don't give a damn if there's children watching, like, zoinks and fuck and, butts and, curse words.
Wow. He's really changing up the vibe there. They're gonna fire him from the next Scooby-Doo project, man. Cryptographically anonymous wallet card that rich people use to buy illegal drugs and gifts for their mistresses. Ugh. Not common knowledge, unless you ran in circles as high up as the city council. Oh.
Yeah, you're right. I didn't know that. Never heard of that. Assumed you were being literal. What is a dark card? Yeah, to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me. Chopin going around picking up whatever he wanted at a crime scene without even radioing it in first. Sounds about right. Bare hands, mouth breathing. I was big on following the rules. Just wasn't that good at remembering any of them. Not me, though. I remember every rule. Follow them, too. Partner breaks a body cam, I request a new one. Let him use mine. Stop him from getting sued by the next punk he bumps into. It was a real risk for him. He had money. People would sue him if they could. No one would try to sue Huey Rogers. Only thing the judge could award them would be my own goddamn debts. Oh, and my stash of Scooby snacks. And my other stash. You know what I'm talking about? I don't think I'm bad with money. Just bad with that.
Damn, you and me both, brother.
I never seem to get rid of the stuff. But even I'm not so stupid that I wouldn't wear gloves at a goddamn crime scene.
You mean,
obviously, counselor. From the minute we pulled up to that building until I was relieved from duty and was sent home the next morning, I was wearing gloves.
I love it when the murder suspect starts villain monologuing. Me too. It's some of the most fun stuff for me to like do the voice things for too. I love it. I love it. I've got to play the Ace Attorney games on stream sometime. I've beaten all of them, but it was like a decade ago, so maybe it's time.
3 stories in an alleyway, and I can swear on my parents' graves, I didn't contaminate 1 millimeter of it. Didn't put my greasy fingerprints on the windows, the doors, the murder weapons. You'd never know I was ever there. So you can say I did this or claim I did that. But the city's only ever gonna hear that some Icarian bastard killed a bunch of blue blood punks. And that Tariq Chopin died a hero trying to save the day.
Right.
Adonai, is that true? Is that possible? After all this, is it possible that... But the jury, surely they can see...
The jury will see what the adjutant decides they need to see in order to properly render their verdict. If the adjutant comes to the conclusion that a witness or a line of questioning will only serve to confuse the jury...
80! Your Honor, the jury!
Give me a second to think here, girl. I'm trying to build consensus and basically everyone's mad.
So maybe the adjutant rules in our favor. Maybe the jury sees things our way. But there are no guarantees.
After all that, it just...
comes down to a gamble. Always does. Yeah. But you still get a chance to sculpt your hand. And I can do a lot better than this pile of shit. Just have to take my licks first. Licks? Your Honor, I disagree.
About what exactly?
About all of it, about everything! Look, we know someone moved from the 3rd floor to the 2nd floor via the fire escape because of that scrap of paper, which would have put them in the perfect position to walk up behind Chopin. And we know Chopin picked up the data pad because his fingerprints are on it. So we can reason Chopin was investigating the desk before he died. And of course we know he died reading the red ink documents because duh, his body was found collapsed on top of them. Put that all together and
Nothing. You still have nothing.
nothing except circumstantial evidence tying this witness to a theoretical sequence of events. Emma, did you get hit in the head too?
What?
We have Officer Rogers' fingerprints on the murder weapon.
What?
They'll never go all in unless they think your hand is crap. Put on a show.
Oh, baby. Ah, I love to put on a show. Don't you? His prints were on the pistol he used to bludgeon my client, of course.
What are you? No, they aren't, as he said he was wearing gloves. Also, that gun was never fired. What are you talking about?
Now that you mention it, yeah. Shoot, did I get my notes mixed up? That's right, the bat! Did you think we wouldn't notice you left your fingerprints on it just because it was broken into splinters?
The baseball bat used on Trey. Forensics failed to pull a single print from that. Is this your idea of a joke?
Geez, take it easy, I misspoke a little. Also, I don't have my reading glasses.
Oh, what?
The Mag US that was used to kill tanks in Creek. Pretty stupid to forget to wipe your prints off a piece that gaudy, don't you think?
Counselor, what is this? Are you throwing a tantrum? Making a mockery of the courtroom? The only prints on that gun belong to Sosuke Akari.
Oh, sorry. Guess I was thinking of another case?
Is there perhaps a gas leak on the other side of the courtroom?
Well, don't I feel stupid?
What I've been trying to say is that Officer Rogers failed to notice he left his fingerprints on the most important weapon of all. The very blade that took his partner's life. Enough of this embarrassment! What the hell's wrong with you? I knew a mob lawyer would be corrupt and vile, but how can you be such a stupid bimbo? Zoinks! Do you think we're all idiots? My fingerprints aren't on that goddamn knife, and you know it.
My mistake. I can see here that yes, I was misreading the fine details, and it does appear that your fingerprints are not on that knife. Sorry.
You... Oh dear.
What?
What?
What is it? Oh, I guess we're all just wondering. How long have you known it was this knife that was used to kill your partner?
What?
Confused? So are these two. Because like you, neither of them were in the courtroom when Dr. Sato updated her autopsy report. So I knew that Chopin was killed with a knife. And the people knew that Chopin was killed with a knife. But how did you know that?
There must have been 50 cops in here when that doctor...
Far fewer than 50, actually. More like 0. We had already emptied the courtroom by then. A courtesy we extended to a blue blood witness.
You... For some blue blood rat! You crazy harpy! Trying to trick me at the last second! You think I walked in here and prepared? No, of course not. Right there, Rockford, the prosecutor! Before I took the stand, she told me all about the knife!
Ah, so that's your plan.
Right, Rockford? Before I came out here, didn't you?
It's always great to reveal a full house and rake in the pot. It's even better to reveal a handful of shit you bluffed your way to victory with.
Say something already! Just say it!
But every now and then, a different kind of victory comes along, where you just get to sit back and watch someone else self-destruct, because they completely misread the dealer.
Say it! Say that you... Shut up! What?
Just shut up! Is that so hard? Are my instructions unclear? Do you need me to salute you first? Stop talking! You are completely, utterly, 100% guilty! Why the hell would I perjure myself to help you?
But...
Hey, start counting. Because from this second on, every word that comes out of your mouth adds directly to the number of years you're going to rot in jail. Unless those words are your confession.
He's the Hound of Ikaria! He murders for the mob! We can put him away!
They don't want to put him away! Not for your crime. Not for murdering the son of 2 city councilmen. Have you lost your goddamn mind?
But he's a murderer!
Well, not all murderers are created equally. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Well, not all murderers are hunted equally. New ability assassinating each other. Ride keeps them divided. Orcas fighting in the lower wards. Let them sort it out. Keeps their numbers down.
A monster shoots 6 women in the heart and leaves no evidence behind.
Call us back when he kills someone important.
Oh, that's crazy. Strange. Once she's properly infuriated, there's usually no stopping her. Well, if she's not going to twist the knife herself, I shouldn't let it go to waste. Your Honor, if the witness is having trouble choosing, if the witness is having trouble choosing a place to start for his confession, perhaps I might help by laying out the details for him.
You sadistic bitch!
He was counting on Emma to step in. Now he's sliding down the rocky face of despair. Fingernails split and bloody as he attempts in vain to slow the descent. Not very dignified, so I won't leave him hanging. I'll be happy to speed him along. In summary, a week ago you acquired a blue blood distress signal when you arrested Tanks, but your partner insisted on letting him go and keeping the code to yourselves. So the night of the murder, when the alarm went out, he jumped at the chance to be the first unit on the scene at what could be a gang shootout. You did all you could to stall, but your partner pressed on and even shot open the door in his hurry to get into the locked building. You made up an excuse to keep him on the 2nd floor and proceeded to the 3rd on your own, relieved that everyone was already dead, and puzzled by the delirious Sosuke, who you knocked out with 1 blow to the back of the head. But by calling down to your partner to convince him you were already too late, you alerted an orca hiding downstairs. And when they fled out the window and down into the alley, you opened the windows at the crime scene to give chase. While you were scanning the alley from the 2nd floor fire escape, your partner proceeded upstairs, where he was just as stunned as you were, but intrigued by the presence of a dark card you'd never recognize, you poor little piece of shit.
Hey, that's unnecessary, man.
He knew that it pointed towards the involvement of powerful parties. It was simply bad luck that he found the red ink before you. But he must have felt like he won the lottery. He was the one man in the city who'd benefit the most from exposing the corruption it hinted at. He must have been salivating at the opportunity right in front of you. Standing in the blood without a second thought. You had taken the knife from Sosuke, hadn't even thought about it up until that point. Sorry, some of these are just really good pictures. You knew, once the rest of the force arrived, there'd be no stopping the red ink from going on the record. You had one chance to blot it out for good.
That's all a lie! Just smoke and mirrors! Tricks and guesswork, man! The Hound of Icaria standing right there next to you! The Blue Bloods themselves even tried to kill him right in front of all of us!
No, they didn't. Excuse me? I have it on very good authority that the Blue Bloods wouldn't want my client assassinated.
Oh, I'm sure.
So considering where the shooter was and the direction he was aiming, the only person he could have been aiming at would be, well, you!
What the hell are you talking about?
Seems like the old guard wanted to make sure there'd be a swift punishment for letting Prop 492 blow up, so you can keep protesting your innocence if you want. It might work out. And you might be able to avoid the next Blue Blood to come after you, and the next after that. You might survive just long enough to end up the only casualty in a tragically unavoidable case of friendly fire. Your Blue's coming after you from above and below. Who gets there first is a coin toss, so tell me. You feeling lucky? Well?
You!
Any questions?
You and this DA! You're...
Officer?
You're both! You're all out of your damn minds!
Fold. And that's the jackpot, baby.
Ugh.
Do you work for the Blue Bloods?
Never thought of it that way. Even back when I was a kid, I thought they were just another institution. Like a neighbor watch, people looking out for each other. Everyone's parents off working or enlisted or in jail for civil disobedience. Whole neighborhoods that cops, medics, goddamn firemen wouldn't set foot in. Didn't see it as transactional, thought I was lending a hand. My blood ain't worth shit. I wasn't useful enough to be a young blood, not good looking enough to be a host. I kept going to school, they helped me pay for it. And because it was, in fact, transactional, they expected to get something in return. Police Academy, their man on the inside. Wasn't as exciting as it sounds. I made sure it wasn't. Those test scores sucked. Aptitude sucked. Clumsy and boring. I made sure no one would want to give me anything important to do. Valuable enough that the Blue Bloods wouldn't out me. Not valuable enough that the cops would give me anything worth passing on. The world's worst double agent. So bad at his job, he'd never be expected to double-cross anyone. Imagine the look on my face when my reputation for nothingness is me paired up with the worst babysitting job on the force.
Tariq Chopin.
We were perfectly matched in a way. I didn't want to be near nothing, and nobody wanted to let him near anything. Nothing dangerous to get him hurt. Nothing real enough he'd go blabbing to his dads. We went around to schools. Those are the jobs we'd get.
Building security.
Morning assemblies, telling the kids what cops do. Here's how to call for help. We were a goddamn joke.
There are worse things to be.
You think I don't know that? You think I gave a shit that kids were laughing at us in the back of the class? That teens are throwing soda cans at our car? Good for them. At least they were having fun. Tariq was never having fun. He was just burning inside. Humiliation and bile. A stomach full of it. If he hadn't found the code on tanks that day, I don't know. I would have either put in his 2 weeks notice or just drawn his gun and walked into the nearest Orca mansion.
So when you two arrived at the building,
Happened like the defense attorney said. I told Chopin some bullshit about smelling contraband on the second floor. He started poking around, and I went straight to the third floor because that's where the bosses would hang out back when I was a kid. Or they'd give us spare change to buy their groceries and pick up their laundry. Never met this creek or his pod in my life until we stopped on Kraton. Different gens. And I'd never seen anything like the blood bath in that room. I call it a blood bath. It lightens the mood a little bit. People say, haha, blath, that's not a word. Anyway, that's just me and my quirked up police job. I'm just quirky. I'm just a quirky Scooby-Doo officer now. Zoinks. All four of the pod were dead when I got there. Believe me, don't believe me. I ain't no hound of Icaria, and I don't think even he could have done that either. Considering how he stumbled out of that water closet like a bloody water balloon. I did whack him on the back of the head, but my hand to God, I'm not convinced it did anything. Face down in the blood out like that. Couldn't have woken him up with a nuke. When the hound dropped, I searched him, followed protocol, found that knife in his hand. I called down, said everyone was dead. That blue blood bolted. Tariq called after them. And yeah, I opened the window and tried to follow. I guess Tariq didn't know the ladder was out. Figured I would chase him down, because by the time I stepped back inside, he was upstairs. And I walked up those steps, expecting him to be puking, crying, shaking, I don't know. Instead, he starts yelling down, happy, ecstatic. He can't believe this. Scoop of the century. And I realize I know what he's talking about.
your blue blood superiors let you know about Prop 492?
Lots of people knew the deal with Prop 492. Even non-blooded civvies. Nothing wrong with any of that, so long as it stayed a rumor. So long as the state didn't know. We knew where the pillars were gonna be built. It was a nice thing, believe it or not. People in the lower wards whispering about big money coming in. A little excitement to look forward to. Tariq was excited too. All he could see was forward. Barely reading the words in front of his eyes. Not giving a shit about anything behind it. Not caring about what he was trampling over. I didn't plan on doing anything, if that matters, if you care. I was moving slow, but I wasn't trying to hide. After taking off the hound, I still had that knife. That goddamn knife in my hand. Man. You all seem like educated people, so I take it none of you all believe in evil? We believe in evil down in the lower wards. It's like a fog. Hangs around certain people, places. And it poured off that knife like a water fountain.
Wait, Deltarune crossover? Wait a minute. Rogers is the knight.
The devil made you do it? Haven't heard that one in a while.
Dark fountain?
Fire theory, yes. This is happening in the city just outside of hometown. Oh shit.
If it wasn't for that dark card being there. You know, Tariq told me once. Said he wanted to become mayor.
Wait, the Heartbreak Killer? It's all connected.
I just did this stupid fake laugh and told him he had my vote. I don't know why I did that. I shouldn't have done that.
Laughed at him?
Shouldn't have lied to him. I was never gonna vote for that son of a bitch. He wanted to make it legal for dogs to drink beer. I hate that. My dog already drinks too much beer, man. If it was legal, he could just go buy it all the time on his own.
This is why Papyrus hasn't appeared yet in Deltarune. You're right, he's on trial in episode 3 of The Devil. Wait, hold on, it's all coming together.
And so, Your Honor, the people will be dismissing the charge of homicide in the first degree with prejudice.
What does that mean?
They can't charge you with Officer Chopin's murder again at a later date just because they found more evidence.
And the 4 other charges of second-degree homicide?
We will be dismissing the 4 charges of second-degree homicide without prejudice.
So she's not quite convinced I couldn't have killed Creek's pod?
Miller's blood having already been on the knife he used to get free in the first place was pretty huge. Combined with Rogers admitting that you basically stumbled out a walking corpse.
But
the way the state sees it, their murders aren't any more solved than they were at the beginning of this trial. It's to be expected. And the jury will be dismissed. The court will be adjourned. And you, Mr. Icaria, are free to go. Everything that's happened to you the last few days, how is that leaving you so shocked?
I'm not shocked, I'm just grateful, Counselor. You have my...
Ahem!
Your Honor, is there perhaps something else you wanted to say?
Well, if you insist. I guess for some reason, even though the jury's been dismissed and it's actually their job to do this part and the charges were dropped, I have this strong, overwhelming urge to say,
not guilty.
Can we get some not guilties in the chat? I'm not guilty.
I'll put one in there.
Not guilty. Right there. Wow, look at that. An emo. Wow.
There's also guilty, but, you know, we're not.
Wow.
No, that needs to be much bigger. Maybe,
I cast ye innocent.
No, that sounds dumb.
Is I cast ye innocent from something? Anyway, 4:56 p.m., August 16th, 2086. I have no idea. Thank you, Bowen. I appreciate it. State Building, floor 48. An old anime? I mean, there is Big O, like, in the name of God, I cast ye not guilty, like from the robot boot up sequence. It could be a reference to that, I guess. So how do you plan on celebrating?
Adonai.
We won, in case you two somehow missed it. And won so definitively that the police and even the Blue Bloods can't hold a grudge.
Right. My apologies. I'm grateful to you, of course. It's just that I still haven't gotten an answer to the question that's been haunting me. Even more so than whether or not I killed Chopin. Someone slaughtered Creek's entire pod, then they had my life in the palm of their hand
and framed you, Sosuke. I don't think they were doing you any favors.
And yet they did. They let me live. It feels strange, owing everything to someone so unknowable.
Well, You'll have plenty of time to think on it, spending the rest of your life hiding your head in the sand, ignoring the vast riches that sit untapped in a savings account across the sea.
Adonai, he's made his stance quite clear.
I don't intend to hide, Morgan. The Blue Bloods can try whatever they like, and they can find me standing right where I've always stood, protecting my family. It's about family.
Seems there's someone who would like to speak with you about just that.
Sosuke!
Mako, young master!
Please, wow, it's immediately the wrong voice.
Please forgive me, young master. I've failed you, repeatedly. I'll accept any punishment.
Very well. 108 years of manual labor. Oh.
Yeah, that's about as merciful as I expected. At least he picked a good number.
100 and... Of course, young master.
You'll need to spend that sentence serving as my head of security, so that I know you're actually doing it. And that means you won't be able to do other jobs anymore. Even ones the elders ask you to do. Even delivering messages. It's a punishment handed down by the heir to the noble house Ikaria, Sosuke. Who could possibly overrule it?
As you say. I'll start right away if you don't mind.
That is probably wise. Grandfather is outside in the motorcade and he's had nothing but criticisms for the current formation.
Like most quotes in this game, yeah. I love this because it's Makoto sneakily being like,
You aren't an assassin anymore. Now you are my best friend forever. Yippee.
The chairman is here? He came here?
probably just happened to be on his way to the airport.
He is, Counselor Morgan, surprisingly astute of you, though he is leaving quite early if he just wants to get to the airport. None of our private planes are even fueled. It seems to be a universal truth that old people like to get to the airport early. That sounds very wise, Sarah of House Per Aligal. Who are you quoting?
Then if you'll excuse me for a moment, Counselor.
Yeah, feel free to...
That dame walked in. Her legs the size of gams.
Take Sarah with you.
Pardon?
If you don't let her look at your tattoo now, I'll never hear the end of it.
Yes, well, that's... Right then, I'll find a corner in which to lift up my shirt. Un instant.
I get early at airports most of the time. Does that make me old? No, you gotta do it. You gotta get there at least like an hour, hour and a half early minimum. Sometimes I do 2 hours early. But I'm also like, I have a lot of anxiety, so you know, that could be part of it.
Congratulations, Counselor. You succeeded on all fronts.
Thanks.
Not satisfied, Makoto seems to be in a good mood. If you ask him for a bonus now...
Shouldn't I just negotiate with my employer directly? You're the one who hired me, aren't you? At the very least, you're the one who put my name forward to Makoto. It's easy to see looking back. You're the only one who's acted in Sosuke's interest this entire time. Who isn't a child.
And what of it?
Why me?
Why does it matter?
Because I value my privacy. I want to know why a woman with your resources would put an ant like me under her magnifying glass. Ants! We don't get to see it, but Sarah does. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll get to see it in like the little splash at the end of the episode. Maybe.
Such cruel metaphors you employ. Someone who values their privacy that much should, in the future, avoid directly confronting the board of multinational corporations.
Noble's board of directors? You were...
Not among them myself, but when one woman shifts the opinion of a room that stagnant, even by a millimeter, word gets around. You really are a shy little girl.
I need to turn a fan on in here? Anyone else overheating a little bit?
Not putting the genie back in the bottle, but I won't recommend you to anyone else if it bothers you that much.
Thanks. Though you can be pretty shy yourself, letting Makoto take all the credit. Why the subterfuge? Subterfuge. Why the subterfuge?
I've already overextended myself in this matter.
A woman from my side of the house, intruding upon the IFG's business? I don't mind that I'll have to rip out fingernails in front of the elders as recompense, but I thought I might spare myself the additional pinky or so. You're being literal, aren't you? Disobedience always has a cost. Especially in old families. Especially for daughters. But not flinching as you pay the toll carries its own kind of power, don't you think? Maybe I'm just trying to dress up my cowardice as dignity. Disobedience used to come naturally to me. It's harder, the older you get. Harder to believe your independence wasn't just immaturity. That's why I'm glad Makoto's such a good boy. I don't want him to feel any guilt later in life. Yeah, Makoto certainly takes his responsibilities seriously. Can't imagine where he gets it from. I was such a hellraiser. He must get it from his father. I suppose... It's an interesting mark below Sosuke's eye. Looks like a mole, but it seems to be hereditary. Does Makoto know Sosuke's his father? Oh. Wait. Makoto does have that same dot. Was it with Mirai? Does Sosuke? I would be very disappointed in Sosuke's intelligence if he didn't. That's why Sosuke left the family to join the military, wasn't it? Why he asked to become the Hound when he came back. Self-imposed exile for interfering in your arranged marriage? Interfering. We were younger then, but we still knew what we were doing. We knew there was no stopping the marriage. If we didn't cover up the pregnancy, others would. Or just eliminate the problem themselves. Sosuke left before the bridal shower. No sudden enlistment, certainly, but I don't blame him for not wanting to be there on guard duty as I married another man. If Makoto is Sosuke's son, though, that means he carries his blood. That means he's got the blood of both families. Oh. If he stands to inherit from both his father and mother, his worth... I understand this is going to be hard for you to believe coming from a woman like me. But Makoto's already worth enough. He has his health, he has his mother. And his father will always be close by. Every moment we've shared as a family is worth its weight in gold. It's about family. And as you've now seen, when given the opportunity to choose between Makoto and the Blue Blood fortune, Sosuke chose the former. All of you could have it all. Why don't you want it all? We already have it. I see. You don't understand, do you? I hope you do someday. Let's get back to something I fully understand then. Bargaining. One blood test from Makoto could split your precious house right down the middle. Your husband will be infuriated, assuming he has a pulse, and whatever connections you married him for will burn up in seconds. So unless you guarantee me that I'm free to turn down any job... Don't make unnecessary threats, counselor. It makes you look weak. Take it from someone with experience. You're always free to leave the house. But if you find yourself slinking back, don't be too hard on yourself about it. It's just what the house does. Now, would you excuse me? Sosuke seems to have satisfied your companion's curiosity for the time being, and it's very rare for him to have any time to himself. You don't understand, do you? I don't understand. Well, I kind of do. I mean, at a certain point, like, man, isn't enough enough? Counselor Morgan. Emma? What's that look for? So that's 2 wins for me now, isn't it? After Rogers went nuts and perjured himself all over the place, you're calling that shitstorm a win? It definitely wasn't a loss. You're ridiculous. Thanks, by the way, for letting things play out as long as they did. I imagine you wanted to put the brakes on things a number of times back there. But now that it's all out, my client won't be getting knifed by cops or blue bloods. At least not for anything he didn't do. You think I was happy to let the Hound of Icaria walk out of my courtroom? Your courtroom? I'll have to have a word with the adjutant. Please don't.
But yes, I had my doubts. The OC unit has been getting a number of odd reports in the last 24 hours, truth be told.
What do you mean?
Bursts of anonymous tips about figures in red being spotted around Creek's place before and after the killings.
Figures in red, Figures in red.
That's right. The Rust.
Oh, right, the Rust. Yeah, what else could it have been?
I don't like the timing, but it's not as if OC can ignore the idea altogether.
I love when Roger said, "It's perjuring time!" And he started perjuring all over the place, like zoinks!
Someone killed those four, and it wasn't so scare Rogers.
If you don't like the Rust for it, where's your head at?
Whoever killed Creek's pod did it with such unhinged brutality, and yet it was executed with precision so cold-blooded, they managed to virtually erase their presence from the scene afterwards.
Yeah?
Hanks and Creek were both shot from fairly close range, and near enough to their solar plexuses. I suppose bashing Trey's skull in was overkill, yes, but it was the safest way to erase anything his mods may have recorded. And even if it was an afterthought, that overcorrection is in line with the perfectionism interrupted by... forget it. I'm seeing things that aren't there. First sign of obsession.
Obsession?
I'm jealous. You seem like you never let anything get to you. It's unpleasant, you know, feeling like you're possessed by something. Or someone. Or some her. Or some she. If it was easy to wrest control back, it wouldn't be an obsession. Just puppy love. Oh, that's me. Gotta take this call. See you around, Morgan.
Yeah, see you around.
Just don't go telling anyone that was a win, or I'll have you arrested for spreading misinformation.
Well, we can't have that.
Okay, Morgan, I've fulfilled my obligation to Sarah now, so
now you can buy me a goddamn drink.
Pardon?
You can start your 108-year sentence tomorrow. I've got some paperwork we need to go through before then, and I don't want to do it sober.
Oh, you're serious?
Of course I am. Everyone knows it's tradition for a client to buy their lawyer a drink after beating charges like this. In this city, they take them to this one special bar, Kintsugi.
I've never heard of that tradition. Or that bar.
Yes, well, you've lived a very sheltered life under the roof of House Ikaria, but I forgive your ignorance. Also, I made it all up. Time for you to put the fat wallet you've been accruing that whole time to good use.
I suppose I do owe you a great deal. Very well, but first I must inform Lady Mirai and the young master.
Go right ahead. Be my guest.
What was that, Adonai? Did you want to get a look at Sasuke's tattoos as well? His toes? You wanted to see his toes? You want to see his fucking toes?
No.
Oh.
I'll take a rain check.
Sasuke seems much more animated this afternoon, don't you think? Did you say something to him?
No. I didn't do anything.
Family! Look at them. They're so happy. I see. Then perhaps his injuries were just taxing him more than we realized.
That must be it. We'll just have Sarah play back her visual records later. Yeah, we can see it. Sarah, play it back. It had been threatening to rain all day. Gray skies spanning a slate blue world. It was cold, and all the heaters were humming in their rush to overcorrect for it. At 3, raindrops started hitting the windowsills. Not a problem. She had her umbrella. 3:15, the adults started leaning back in their chairs. Watches and phones were being checked. They were preparing to leave. At 3:24, another topic is brought up. The gathering resigns themselves to a continuation. It's 3:45 by the time the girl is able to excuse herself. She has 15 minutes to get back to school. Hardly impossible on foot, if she hurried, but she could have asked to be driven there. For some reason, the thought never crossed her mind. She hesitates at the door. She'd left her umbrella behind, back upstairs. It's not like her to be so absent-minded. The smart thing to do would be to go back up and get it. It's 3:49. At 3:51, she's jogging, a non-committal yet still undignified rush. When she sees the time on her phone roll over to 3:52, she starts to run. She hates running. A small part of her considers sending a text. She'd never been the one to text first. And to think of it, she'd never been the one to text second. She only had one number in her phone's contacts after all. At 3:56, the school gates are in sight. Her eyes had been straining to see them. She wasn't looking down. Her knee stung in a shallow, sharp way. Oh no. Palms of her hands were embedded with specks of gravel where she caught herself. Rain-diluted blood ran faintly down her leg as she dripped water onto the mundanely tiled floors of the hallway. At 3:59, she pauses to at least catch her breath before sliding the door open. If her heart hadn't been beating so loudly in her ears, she would have easily heard the voices behind it.
Where do you even come up with this stuff? Hey, I can't promise it's going to be that exciting every week around here, but...
Ev, what are you... I thought you had a family thing. Oh no, it's little baby Morgan. Oh no, she's all wet and sad and bleeding.
Oh shit, are you okay? What happened?
You're soaked and... I thought... who are all...
We're the Mystery Club.
Name pending, I hope. I was told the name could change. You were right, Ev. I just went around to people on campus and tried being friendly, being myself, and people started signing up. But forget that. Your knee.
It's fine.
You must be freezing. Let me give you my coat. Screw it, I'll just carry you to the nurse myself.
Stop.
Ma'am, this girl just showed up and she's bleeding. What? Bleeding? Everyone stand back. Where is she? Who? What's her name? I don't know. I don't think I've seen her before. You, girl, come with me. I'm taking you to the infirmary. Ma'am, she's cold. That's very nice of you, but it's not sanitary to share uniforms. Stay here and wait for the floors to be cleaned.
Ev,
Don't worry about it. I can walk on my own. So were the roles in those last dreams the other way around that I thought? I thought it was someone talking to young Evelyn. Was it it was young Evelyn talking to the Mystery Club girl? Evelyn was the one who was like, yeah, I'll sign up, but I'm not really doing this stuff. Oot, oot. Interesting. Bar Kintsugi. Back in the present. Yeah, it's a twist reveal. Ooh, it's good.
And with a little sprinkle of salt just along the edge, there you have it. Oh, that looks wonderful, thank you. Of course, let me know if you need anything else. I must admit, Morgan, this is quite a fine establishment. Also, I'm a little frustrated that I have to be in the same scene as Diamani, because we have very similar voices. And so exclusive, the whole staff here on hand to attend to just the two of us. I can't imagine what the waiting list must be like.
Right? Lucky for you, you've got a man working on the inside.
I can assure you a table at any time, Sosuke.
Look at her cute little outfit. You or any of your housemates ever need a quiet spot to lay low from the judging eyes of high society? Now you know where to send them. You think Morgan is the mystery upstart, but she's actually the girl who acts like old Sundir. Yeah.
I might do just that.
Which also means she was the one kind of making fun of, like, Mystery Club girl for, like, wanting to be a lawyer. That's interesting. That means something more than I think I understand so far.
And these prices, so reasonable. Shit, I knew I should have gone with the digital menus.
Hey, Sosuke. That name they have for you, the Hound. That a title you were given or just part of the mantle you chose to take up?
No, I was called that long before I started delivering messages. Long before I got my tattoo. Truth be told, I'm not sure where it came from or when people started using it. Childhood nickname, I suppose.
Earned by following Mirai around like a puppy?
I never,
Who told you Mirai...
Who told you Mirai was the heir when we were...
It's a miracle you didn't break under torture, you know that? The Hound of Ikaria. So everyone called you a dog when you were a kid?
Jokingly. Lovingly.
Mirai's right. I don't know anything about... one of the many things I've long since acknowledged that I'm missing. Love? About love? Is that what you've censored there? But obsession, addiction, those are easy enough to grasp. I've rolled the dice plenty of times by now. There are no demons haunting me, no other drivers in the car. Just me, sitting in the dark with a hole in my chest. When it's hungry, I feed it. But it'll never be full. Because the hole was there first. And it built a girl around itself so it would have a place to hide. How can you tell? But they called you that lovingly.
Oh, I suppose you never know. You just trust. And if you do trust, then that's your answer. And besides, what's insulting about being compared to a dog? Everyone loves dogs. Probably even you.
For your information, I like dogs just fine, Sosuke. But I could never live as one. Everyone's already collared in this world, tagged, labeled, classified, put in a box. Even so, I refuse to sit at the end of someone's leash. Better to remain astray. So she won't wear leashes. We've learned that about her from this episode. Game kicks ass! Cannot wait for the 3rd episode. It is, of course, not out yet. It's supposed to release sometime this year. When it does, I will be playing it. But I love everything about it. I love everything about Of the Devil. I love the devil! I love him! I'm gonna kiss Satan and thank him for video games. Oh, zoinks! Like, special thanks and stuff in the credits. There is always a post-credits thing, and I will say, for y'all, stick around, because I have a thing after we're done with the game today. Because don't you want to know what the next Sunday game is going to be? What the next story game Sunday will be?
Fiend.
Hey, he's got his little family on the phone. That's cute. That's cute. I like it. Morgan is not like it. You're just like my friend, Mr. Satan. Wow.
That's right, Goku. Speak of the devil and Mr. Satan will appear.
Oh, Jesus. Kid? I wasn't looking out for anything in particular. The rest give me and others food and stuff for telling them where the blues go and who they talk to. My shoes have been feeling too small and the blue guys in that building have been really busy lately. I thought if I hung around there I might see something the rest would give me new shoes for. But I never saw anything worth anything. So you gave up? No, I got scared. What scared you? You won't believe me. No one believes me. Everyone says I'm a liar. Everyone says I'm a liar too. Are you? I can't remember. You see, somebody took something that belonged to me. I don't feel right without it. But I think you could help me find it.
What'd you lose?
My face.
It's Gaster. I was right.
I saw the red hood.
Except she was a lady, not a girl, and she didn't have her hood up. I didn't get a good look at her face, but she was all red.
Red hair?
What's this?
Gold.
Thanks. But are you sure? I wasn't any help.
You've been a huge help. Now I know to look for red hair. I've tracked more elusive prey with less.
Quoting scripture is the name of the next episode.
Oh, we're fucked. Red hair or red heart. The Heartbreak Killer? Oh my god. Wait. 7 articles. Yeah, I got all the stuff. I got all the stuff, baby! I found out everything. I'm great. Congratulations! You finished episode 2 with 217 credit. That seems like a lot. That's my high score. Concept art and bonus scenarios. Yippee! Oh. I can buy some stuff in the shop, but I don't think there's anything I want to get, you know? Yay, Sierra! I mean, I can, oh my god, wait, that's a Homestuck?
No, I was tricked into getting Sato stuck.
Emma and Deep Thought's really cute. What else we got? London and empty. Reyes Angie. 80. Hey, 80. And Yamani. Oh, wonderful. Oh, clearing episode 1 on High Roller gets you Reyes in a bunny suit, and episode 2 on High Roller gets you Sarah in a bunny suit. Huh? I still like the Neko Morgue because it's cute, but we might use the Sarah one sometimes. Yeah, look at that. That smug little kitty cat. Little freak. All right, y'all. Are you able to redo chapters for those? Yes, you are able to redo chapters. That is a thing you can do. It's allowed. It's very allowed. It's very allowed. And I have one more thing to show y'all. Like I said, before we call it a day, I wanted to reveal what the next game is gonna be for my Sundays, because these I want to do RPGs. I want to do visual novels. I want to do story focused stuff, but not necessarily always things I have to voice, right? And this game was kind of hell on my vocal cords, so I thought maybe I'd take it a little easier with the next one in terms of voice stuff. So, Sunday visual novel streams. Well, thanks for the follow. This next one isn't quite a visual novel, but there will be more visual novels. But it's a game that I've been wanting to get to for a while, and I don't know. Maybe y'all will be excited about it too. Sorry, I was muted. Yeah, Persona 3 Reload! Yo! I've never played a Persona game before. I'm very excited to finally check one out. It does blend a lot of kind of like visual novel, like relationship building sim elements in with traditional like dungeon crawling RPGs. So I think it's probably up my alley because I like all of that stuff. And I'm just excited to kind of experience the story of it. I know a bit about Persona 4 and Persona 5 in terms of like story, right? But almost nothing about 3. Other than that, there's like a cool robot girl, and I mean, you know, clearly I'm a fan of cool robot girls. So yeah, Sundays until the game is done or something else crazy comes up. Persona 3 Reload. Be there. Shoot me a follow just like Loria did. Thank you.